for the night for you? Do you just cancel the whole class?
I'm sorry.
You cancel the whole class, or do you have a substitute teacher?
No, there's a staff, so we always have people who can cover for each other because there's never just one person teaching a class,
Okay,
or never just one person scheduled to teach a class.
got it.
So
Well, I think I already said it, but I'm happy you're feeling well enough to be here. We are doing this party for you. I would not have known it was our anniversary if it wasn't for you.
I just thought you mentioned that it might be coming up, so I went back and looked on my phone and my calendar. I keep a very my calendar is almost scary. I've got so much on it, but it's like my brain. If I don't have that calendar up to date, I'm in trouble. So I went back and looked, and there it was. That was the first meeting I ever went to. I think it was on the 11th or something of July.
There you go.
And if I
12th.
didn't make the first one, I probably was at least at the second. So
You were the first one. You were the first one. You and JD. And for anyone who, if you're wondering what the heck we're talking about, Linda and JD were the first two. There were some other people, but the first two.
Don
people.
joined us pretty quickly too.
I wasn't far behind.
Yep,
Yeah.
you were definitely not far behind.
I'm always bringing up the rear, so.
Not in this group. You're still one of the innovators in this group, Don.
Fred, I was telling Jess just before you signed on that James Patterson just killed off the wife of one of his main characters in his Alex Cross series from Lyme disease.
Whoa.
So you can, it's I think Deadly Cross, I think is the name of the book. And, but if you're doing a Lyme talk, you can, it's got into the mainstream now when James Patterson is talking about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's pretty mainstream anyway these days.
Yeah.
It's gotten a lot of attention in the past few years, fortunately.
But it's still not really recognized if you go to tell your doctor about those things. Is it, Fred or Jess? Do they still sort of poo-poo it to you?
It's still pretty, especially in Canada, there's tests that are really weak, and Canadians will go down to the States and do their tests and they'll come back positive, even though in Canada they'll be negative.
Wow.
So,
Yeah, I have somebody who follows me on LinkedIn, and we had a conversation today, and he's in Kansas City, and he says, "Oh, every doctor in Kansas City knows about Lyme disease." I'm like, even in Connecticut, in my book I wrote, if you're in Connecticut, there's a good chance that your doctor will know. And somebody who proofread my book said it ain't the case even in Connecticut, which is where the disease is named after. So, but thanks for letting me know about that. I'm going to check it out. I appreciate it.
I'm going to go get you the cover.
it's funny.
Oh, Fred, I passed along a recommendation about your book to somebody higher up in my organization, and he's like, "Oh, I've read him. You know him?" So I'm now a minor celebrity for knowing a celebrity, apparently.
Oh.
Thank you so much. My best friend from high school always likes to say, "I know you're a minor celebrity." So there he goes. I always thought of you as a minor celebrity.
Well, we got Fred on the schedule for August to do a takeover. So we got Fred in the group as a member and as a guest speaker. We're going to talk.
Right.
There's the book, Deadly Cross.
Oh, very nice.
So,
Well, Don, while you're talking about books, I have a question. What did you say the name of your book is about the Canadian troops?
Our Father's Footsteps.
Our Father's Footsteps. Okay.
I feel like I've seen the cover and workshop the cover so many times. Like, I'm like, how could you forget that title?
Yeah.
Oh, and I've been reading this book this weekend.
Oh, sweet.
Woo!
Sweet.
Bill Walker.
How's it
Yeah.
going?
You write a sexy scene. From the beginning, it's just like your main character's got moves.
Ooh.
And I've never read medical romance ever.
Really? Too bad. It's good.
No.
Oh,
It's
very cool.
Very
It's
good.
good, and the writing is good. Like the story's
Awesome. Oh,
good.
Thank
Your
you.
flow, your line flow.
Oh, very cool. Thank you so much.
So
Yeah.
along with Fred's book, I also have a copy of Don's book that I have already finished.
Oh, well,
And
a review
so-
on Amazon would be great.
okay, I'll do that.
I've got a few reviews, but I need some more comments. So if anybody's read it, their comments would be much appreciated.
I will, I'll throw a review in there for you.
That'd be great. Thank you. How did you enjoy it?
I actually did. It put a very human face on, circumstances and situations that we usually either think of in movies or think of as very dry history. So, yeah.
And and by trying to do the voices, I try to make it more readable for the average reader that wasn't into necessarily reading history books.
I think that's kind of what I was trying to say when I said to put a human face on it.
Good.
It really, it brought out the fact that war isn't just, facts and statistics and something that happened far away, but it's something that happens to individual people.
Right. Well, I'm doing this talk for the Royal Canadian Military Institute on Wednesday, and I've got a couple of people in the group that are looking at signing in at 7:00 Eastern time. If anybody's interested, I'll put my email up on the chat here, and so it's 7:00 Eastern on Wednesday, and I'm giving a 45-minute presentation on the book and some of the what-if moments that are in the book there that nobody's aware of. So I'll put that up in the chat line.
Dawn,
Okay,
is
great.
talking getting easier? Are you getting
Pardon
more?
me?
Are you getting more comfortable? with
Yeah, I
talking?
practiced it again today, and it's getting a little better. So and even just doing the slide presentation as you're doing it. I mean, I've got that written in red so that click here. So because I use a lot of slides in it, because otherwise just listening to me drone on for 45 minutes would be very boring. But there's a couple of very good Canadian writers, Ted Barris and David O'Keefe. They both write military history, and they actually fill an auditorium with interested people, and they talk about their books and the people they've interviewed, and that would be my goal. And I'm sure that some of you that write that kind of thing, what an opportunity to actually fill a 300 or 400 seat auditorium with people to be able to tell your story. I mean, that is it gives me chills just thinking about it. So maybe one of these days, I'm sure Fred will be leading the pack here when he goes out and talks to a room full of doctors and gives them his talks about his Lyme disease.
Not his Lyme disease.
No, sorry, his book about Lyme disease. Sorry.
It's deep connection to people.
Yes.
Okay, well, I think it might just be us, not just us, but I know Alvina is not coming tonight. I don't know where JD is. So we're going to get started. And we're playing a game tonight. Does everyone know? Everyone's aware we're playing Two Truths and a Lie. We're not doing it. Okay. So let's just go in alphabetical order. All right. So who do we got? Fred. Amy.
Uh-oh.
Okay. So just a refresher. We're playing Two Truths and a Lie. So we're all authors here. Hopefully you've thought of some creative lies, and we might question you. So I was thinking my lie would be that I speak fluent Chinese tonight. And then there was an author who just joined who is from Fort Collins and has lived in China and California for most of his life teaching Mandarin. So it's like, oh, I'm not doing that. So two truths, just anything we don't know about you, because I know we've shared some things that might be fun to use in Two Truths and a Lie, but the point is to trick us. So Amy, you got 2 minutes to tell us your truths and a lie, and we have to guess.
Okay. Let's see. So my big fiction story was actually conceived of when I was 16. Let's see. I used to want to drive the Oscar Mayer Weenie Mobile for a living. Um, I actually failed out of college 3 times before I got my master's.
Okay, is that it? That's 3, right?
2 truths and a lie, yeah.
The wiener truck. I think that's a lie.
Well, I did have a wiener whistle. So
I think that one's so creative that it has to be a truth. I don't think she failed. I don't think she failed out of college 3
So
times.
what were you studying when you failed?
Oh my gosh. Well, let's see. I was started out pre-med political science, and we didn't know I had
Combo.
ADHD until like 5 years ago. So yeah, when it got to upper division chemistry, it was a thing like twice. I mean, yeah. I took
Yeah,
all the
organic
biology.
chemistry. It's lovely.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Yeah, I've taken it.
Oh. Chemistry, yeah. Chemistry was my good area, but physics was awful. So I can sympathize if chemistry was for somebody else.
But
That's starting to sound pretty real.
But I don't think you failed out of school. You can fail organic chemistry and still get through college. I know plenty of people who've done it.
Yeah,
Okay.
I would agree. I don't think you can do it 3 times, maybe once.
Yeah, you would move over to a different elective than organic. So no, I think that's a lie.
So most of us think that's a lie.
Yeah.
All right, Amy. What is it?
Well, I used to want the wiener truck. I wanted to put flames on the side. I thought that was the coolest thing ever when I was like 15. But yeah, I did fail out of school 3 times.
Okay, so
Okay. They say that what is it? C students employ A students. I forget the expression, but
Yeah, C's get
usually
degrees.
the dropouts who run the world in the end.
Well, I mean, I actually did graduate in psychology
Yeah.
and all that, but yeah, every time I tried pre-med, it was nervous breakdown time when it came to upper division
Ooh.
chemistry. And so I just like fail everything because I couldn't, something about it in me didn't work.
Sounds like pre-med is crazy stressful.
Yeah.
Couldn't imagine. But okay. We know something new about Amy. And now it is Fred's turn.
I think there's an Alina.
Alina.
There
Now
is an
it's
Alina.
Alina's turn.
Alina
about
should have gone
Dawn?
first.
what about Dawn?
Wait,
You know, I
Here's-
think
you know,
Who's
was
hiding?
hiding in the
I'm
corner.
wondering they're going if they would see me here.
We're all authors. We don't know the alphabet.
Alina, you ready for
Okay.
Truths and a
All
Lie?
right.
Okay.
Okay, I learned to play piano at the age of 26 and participated in a children's contest. A recital. I won the Illinois soon-to-be famous author contest. And I lived in a senior citizen building only at the age of 16.
So you learned piano and played at a children's recital
Recital at age of 26,
and you lived in a retirement home.
at age of 16.
Oh,
That feels like 2 sides of you know,
Yeah.
like
yeah.
2 directions of
My
of the age thing there.
And then what was the other one?
And that I won the Illinois soon-to-be famous author contest.
Oh, this
So
feels.
I'm not gonna dare question the last one.
Wow.
I feel like the 2 on the ends are both true, and that's why Alina finds it so interesting to add them both. You know? Because of the Let me say the middle one is a lie for that reason.
I hate to say this about a writer, but I think the one about the Illinois writer is a lie because the other two are kind of related. So I'll say they're both true.
I agree with James.
Yeah, I agree.
Hey,
Alright.
wow.
So the one is a lie is about the contest because I didn't win it. I was one of the 3 finalists, but somebody else won.
No cool that you were in it. I thought that was
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. So we have to talk about those other two.
But the other-
Exactly.
the other one, I lived in a senior citizen building because my grandparents were taking care of me. My parents were not able to take care of me at that point, so I lived with my grandparents
Okay.
in such a building. And I had a kind of a long desire to play piano. Did not get a chance to do it as a child, so at the age of 26, I met with a teacher, said, can I, could you teach me? And she started playing, and then she had a recital, and she only had children students besides me, so she let me participate with all the kids.
Well,
I
cute.
like it. Okay.
All right, Fred.
Desiree.
I just had to remind you like a half an hour ago to come up with these, Desiree. They better be good.
And we got it done too before Fred, FYI.
Yeah.
What's wrong with me? Okay.
I thought we were going by last names.
For you. How's that?
That's where you're at.
I'm next. Okay. I have so many stories, but okay. Story 1. I interviewed with John and Bo Derek to work for them. Story 2. I flipped a mule up in Yosemite between 2 rocks and had to have some campers help me get the mule out of the rocks. And story 3, I dated a rapper named Mike Marshall when I was in college.
The mule is true.
The rapper's true. I want that to be true.
The mule is true, but the rapper I'd like to be true. Yeah.
I'm gonna go with the Bo Derek isn't quite true.
I can see that being true. I'm going to go with the rapper being not true.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the rapper as well. I can see the Bo Derek one because it's just.
I think she
because
was the
Of all the
rapper.
names to pick out, yeah.
I'm going with the rapper too.
Yeah. I'd like it to be true, but I'm going to go with the rapper is not true.
Okay, you guys got me, but I did know Mike Marshall, and he was part of a group called the Timex Social Club, and they sang a song called Rumors. So I didn't know him. I went to college with him.
It was
He
almost true.
It was almost true. He was actually wanting to date my roommate.
No taste.
Yeah, well, Mike was kind of Mike. It was kind of weird because when we first met him, I went to Cal Poly and they had this summer bridge program for a month before school started. So, they had all of us students there. It was like 60 of us, maybe less than that. We were in one dorm and he was there and he was really, really quiet. And one of my friends, I listened to his tape. Well, within 2 years, he was opening for Jermaine Jackson and doing all this stuff. He ended up going to, after school, he ended up in Germany and got really big in Germany. But nope, I didn't date him. I just knew him.
Okay, so
I did interview with Bo and John Derek for an hour. And the oddest thing about that, and I was supposed to work for them, they had, she rode Peruvians, and I was going to work there. But he decided after talking to me for an hour and a half that I was too little to handle the work, which is fine with me because they basically wanted somebody who would come and live there, never go anywhere, and never have any visitors. So I'm like, yeah, no, thanks.
it worked out.
Yep. But Bo Derek, she sat there the whole time, straight as a board, looking straight ahead. Never looked me in the eye. So.
I suppose some of Trish my gender, but she never did anything for me. And that kind of proves it right there.
Does she know that, James?
She doesn't even care.
Is it mutual?
Probably.
I never saw the draw. I'm with you, James. Just like, huh?
Well, she was a 10.
He died in the car, and I was driving somewhere. And I remember when I heard about him dying, and all I could think was, that poor woman, now she has to think for herself.
All right, Don.
Me, eh? Okay. I didn't realize how short these would be, but one of the things I was thinking about, I think for many of us, our own memories play tricks on us. Sometimes I know we have a difficulty identifying the lies to ourselves. We see pictures of when we were young, and we turn that into memories, and it's not always quite the same. And years ago, there was a show called Truth or Consequences in the 50s and 60s. And you had to, give an answer to trivial questions. Anyway, so a couple of things about me. When I was in high school, I got involved in drama. I was in a number of productions, and also in outside the theater, outside of school as well. I was in some little theater, but I guess my claim to fame in high school was playing Peter Pan in the production of Peter Pan, and I got to fly across the stage, and 'tis I, Peter Pan the Avenger. So, secondly, I was in the police reserves. When I was graduated, I was going to go into the regular force of the police. And one night, I was on patrol with I was even issued a revolver to go on patrol each night, and so one of the officers needed to read the charges to a young woman in the cells, and they got me to go in to do it. And I got in there, and she was buck naked. And I'm 19 years old, and I'm like, oh my God, what am I supposed to do now? So I came out, and they thought that was just the funniest thing ever. Of course, that was in the 70s, and you probably wouldn't be doing that today. It wouldn't go over quite as, it didn't go over well then, but it would be even worse now. And lastly, some of you may have heard that back in 2011, I was, at the time I owned a business, and I was in Mexico, and this 5-star resort was wonderful. And we'd gone off to Chichen Itza for a tour. And at 9 o'clock that morning, there was a gas explosion in the hotel, and 5 people were killed. And but we missed it because we were in on the bus tour. And so that was my what if moment. So those are the 3.
For Pan, really? I don't know about that one.
Yeah, I was gonna say not Peter Pan, because he wasn't in the Avenger movie.
Don, where was the hotel you were staying at by Chichen Itza?
It was the I had it written down here. Hang on, the Royal. It was in Playa del Carmen. It was the Royal Princess Riviera.
You were staying not by Chichen Itza.
No, we had taken a bus tour. We went and swam at Cenote, and went down to Chichen Itza when we got that. And as we drove down there, there's Jeeps with 50 caliber machine guns on the side of the road. And when we got back, the hotel, there was 500 rooms that had their windows blown out of it. And there was actually a separate cabana where we stayed, and there was some swamp gas. It didn't smell very good when we were there. And I guess that's what blew up.
Name another line in Peter Pan.
Did I say, if you believe in fairies, clap your hands.
Okay, the police reserves. That's the lie.
It's definitely the police.
I think it's the police too.
Yeah, definitely the police.
Get out. They gave you a gun? Oh my God.
I was qualified. I could hit a target at 20 yards and still get a bullseye. So we were qualified with them, but they would give me a revolver and with 6 shots that had been passed on from guy to guy, and you'd load it each time. And at the time, we carried Sam Brown's, which wasn't an open hold holster. It was actually tucked in and had a little cover over it. But yeah, I went out patrol, so that's true.
I think it's not Peter Pan.
I'm trying to remember if there was because I'm trying to remember of an explosion on the coast in Mexico in 2011.
I think it happened, and Don, being a history writer, just remembered it.
Yeah,
I think it took you just a little bit too long, Don, to come up with the hotel name.
Yeah, I think so
I'm going to
too.
go with that one.
Okay.
There's a hand up over at
Right.
the.
Oh yeah, Linda, you're unmuted. Linda B, if you want to guess. I'm going to go with Mexico.
Yeah.
Are you talking about me? I raised my hand. I'm going to have to leave early. I just thought I'd let you know.
You're unmuted, Linda B. Whenever you want to talk, just go.
No,
for it.
I think you had somebody going. I'll go after who is it?
Don, we're going in order alphabetically. All right, Don.
Yeah, the reason I did, I couldn't tell you the name of the hotel right away. I had to, it was 2011. I couldn't remember. It wasn't like it was the Hilton, and it was actually the Grand. It was on the Mayan Riviera, the Grand Riviera Princess Hotel. So there was an explosion. It was from the gas. We were in that hotel, but it was 10 months earlier. And the same part of that hotel that we stayed in, that our private cabana was in, and an open bar, that was the place that blew up. And when my daughter heard about it, she called us, and we turned on the news, and it was the exact spot that we spent half of our days at. So it was a what if moment, because we smelled this swamp gas as we were going to the beach each day, and thought it was just this stomach turning odor. And but I just changed the dates a little bit. I was in Peter Pan. I was in the police force, and I did have to read those charges to a naked woman. So,
Tough
All
life,
right,
man.
now it's time for Fred. Yes, now it's time for Fred.
What is it again? All right. So of course I can do this for hours. All right. So these are a little bit obscure. So hopefully you'll get them. Okay. The first one is I used to do a lot of travel various times of my career. And one time whenever I would go to New York, I would stay at the Waldorf Astoria Hotel. And I would always stay, it was a Hilton, so I could always stay there. And, our company had, the great arrangement with the Hilton. So one night I went for dinner with one of our clients, and I went back to the hotel, and I had a couple of drinks, and I get on the elevator, and it's me and like 3 other people. And I'm looking around, and everyone's protecting this woman who's in the corner of the hotel. And I turn to my right, and she's like 7 feet tall. It was Brooke Shields. And I look over, and I'm like, "You're Brooke Shields." And she looked down at me, and she said, "Yes, I am." The second one, for about a year, I was on a first name basis with former President of the United States, Jimmy Carter. And I met with him every week for about a year. And we were on a first name basis. And the third one is I'm from Philadelphia originally. After college, I moved back to Philly, and I was a DJ on weekends. And one of my friends calls me, who was also a DJ. It's Saturday night around 11 o'clock. After we're both done our parties, he said, "I have something really cool." He goes, "We're going to double date with Susanna Hoffs from the Bangles." Remember the Bangles?
Yeah.
So he goes, so he was dating this woman who was friends with Susanna Hoffs. The Bangles were in concert that night. And he said, "Let's go meet at the Bellevue Stratford Hotel, which is famous for the Legionnaire's disease." And he said, "We're going to double date. You're going to date Susanna Hoffs from the Bangles." And it was only one night. but it was Susanna Hoffs. All right, so Brooke Shields, Jimmy Carter, or Susanna Hoffs from the Bengals.
If
Well,
the
the
line
Susanna
about
Hoffs
Susanna
better be
Hoffs is
true.
true, you're my hero.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing, James. That
So-
one better be true.
Yeah,
You were a DJ? Really?
I can
So
believe that.
you did
I'm going,
3 in a row of celebrity name dropping.
Yes, I did.
I'm
One
going
of
to
them
go
is not
Jimmy
true.
Carter.
See, Jimmy Carter seems very true, just of who he is. And he's on first name basis with a lot of them. So
Yeah.
I think that one's true.
That could be that he was always using, I served under his command and he did. And when there was not a lot of press around, ask you to call him by his name, but what did you do for him?
Just meet with him once a week.
You just met with him once a week.
Yep, for about a year.
Top secret, you have to shoot us if you tell us.
Well, it's going to give it away if I tell it right now. But,
Oh,
and by the way, I was taller than him. Brooke Shields was taller than me. I was taller than Jimmy
Plus,
Carter.
she's probably wearing heels.
And Susanna Hoffs was actually taller with me than with the heels. She
Is
did wear
it-
heels. She wore about 3-inch heels.
Was it
She's very
while
cute.
Jimmy was president?
No,
No. Okay.
Oh,
Then I'm going
okay.
to say that's true because we were probably doing something with his one of his charitable organizations that he got involved in. So I'm going to say that's true. I'm going to go with Brooke Shields.
I think we're.
Although that you got the hotel name down so good. I mean, I was stumbling. I stayed there and I couldn't remember the name of it. But I think if you stayed in the wall, you probably stayed in the Waldorf Astoria. But the Brooke Shields one may not have been true in that case.
okay.
7 feet tall?
Oh, she was huge, beautiful, striking, and huge. If it's true. All right, I'll
I
flip
don't-
over all the cards.
I don't think that you actually, you might have seen her, but I don't think you had words with her. Is she surrounded by people like that? Probably not.
They were all shorter than her though, so he could still see her.
good one, Don.
All right, I'll flip over. Any final guesses?
I don't believe the Susanna Hoffs one. I believe you were a DJ. That I can buy because your music knowledge is really good. But she doesn't seem like the type that would agree to go out like after she played a show.
All right, I'll flip over all the cards. I did see Brooke Shields, and I did have one word exchange with her. I said, "Oh my God, you're Brooke Shields." She looked at me and said, "Yes, I am." It was at the Waldorf Astoria in 1994. She's the most beautiful woman I've ever seen in person, and she's 7 feet tall. I never dated Susanna Hoffs, so
Mm.
never met Susanna Hoffs. I did see the Bangles in concert like 5 years ago. Sorry about that. But and I was at the Bellevue Stratford Hotel because I was in Philly and I was a DJ. But Susanna Hoffs is kind of like my go-to lie in this game. So it was good timing. And Jimmy Carter, I went to Emory University in Atlanta, and he built his library at Emory. I was the editor-in-chief of the newspaper, and he had just announced he was going to build his library at Emory. So I met with him pretty much on a weekly basis. And I met with him once. Emory University still does this library that had a 7th-story observation deck, and it was an open observation deck. It was like the kind of thing you would go on and just look at the city. I actually met with him, just me and him, on this observation deck once for about an hour, and he was showing me where they were going to build their library. And can you imagine that now? You know, I mean, there's no Secret Service, no guards, literally just me and him in 1984 on this observation deck. And sometimes when I think about it, I get chills that, you know, it was kind of crazy. So
Oh, I don't care, man. I just so rather hear about Susanna Hoffs.
every time I listen to the Bangles, I'm like, oh, it could have been, but it never wasn't even close.
All right, I think it's time for Jackie. Is that right?
Yeah, I think so. Okay, so my first one. I used to play softball on the Black Circuit, and it's a circuit in the actually it's across the United States, but that you have to be Black to play. There's only very small minority. Only 2 people on the whole team can be white. So you have to be good to play because otherwise you can't be white. But I got hit with a softball so hard that it caused a blood clot that released 6 months later that I had to be rushed to the hospital for because of the blood clot. And that was at a tournament in Tallahassee, Florida. So
What hotel were you staying at?
Cheap motel that was open at the time. So my second one is that during my wedding was almost ruined by Hurricane Opal. That had an outdoor wedding and was living in Alabama at the time, and I was getting married in Ohio, and the hurricane followed me all the way up, and we were having an outdoor ceremony. So of course the hurricane got there and the winds were blowing and the rain let up just enough that we could have the ceremony and we're able to get inside. So my third one is that when I was living in North Carolina, that lived down the road from this actually that's not the one I want to tell. So sorry, I had several different ones.
Whatever it is, I think this one's the lie.
I didn't want to say
my
that.
last one is that when I was in high school, that I won a competition called the Ohio Youth Governors Competition, and my art piece was chosen to be in a traveling show, and that was pretty exclusive. It went from like 5,000 pieces down to like only 50 were in the traveling show.
I think
What year did you get married? Sorry?
95.
95.
you smiled a lot while you told the story about getting married. So I feel like that's the lie.
I think that one's true.
I think that one's true as well.
Yeah, I think so too.
I was going to say softball because you threw so many details in there, and you could have played softball but not had the blood clot. 6 months later, it could have been 5 months. So I'm just going to say softball. I think there's something in softball. I can see you being a softball player, but I think there's something that's just not 100% correct about it.
Yeah, I'll go with that one.
I can see the clot showing up 6 months later because something similar happened to me. But it was almost life-ending with a blood clot in the lungs. So I know what that could be like. So I'm going to go with the traveling art show that you were in the top 10, but you didn't quite make the finals.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the art show as well.
I kind of think you're right.
So most of you say art show?
Well, I think it's split, actually.
I'm gonna lean towards the hurricane wedding.
The hurricane wedding was true. I should have known better. That was
There you go. It was a sign. It was a sign.
So the lie was softball. I actually did play softball, and the thing is, I did that to somebody else. I hit somebody else with the ball so hard, and
Whoa.
It was a coworker. We were having a company softball game, and ain't nobody else played softball serious except me. And I accidentally hit this guy, and I swear to God, I almost killed him. 'Cause 6 months later, he went to the hospital for a blood clot from that me hitting him. But I have gotten hit. I should have, by God, I should have had the blood clot because I got hit probably about 80-mile-an-hour ball, and my whole leg just turned all kinds of lovely shades of green and purple and stuff. So. But the art show was 100% true. And the thing is that I hated that piece. It's something called a blind contour drawing where you don't look at what you don't look at the paper as you're drawing. I thought it was hideous. And that thing has won more for me than anything else in my life. And it's
Wait, but the Black Circuit thing, did you play in that? That was true? Oh, wow. Okay. That's pretty cool.
So it had a ring of truth to it. So
you just went a little too far, but that was,
I wasn't the one home
So the guy that had the blood clot, did you throw the ball or did you hit the ball?
hit it.
No, I hit it.
Okay.
No.
Just wondering, 'cause I got my nose broken one time with a softball. I had the delayed reaction, and I was just sitting in class, and all of a sudden,
Well, we got these carbon bats, and
okay.
They're designed so it's called the pop. It's a double, so it bounces off of it like a trampoline. So
okay.
the bats that we play with are rated at 100 mile an hour.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
And yeah, these tournaments I played in, they were money tournaments. We were paying for money.
Nice.
That's like you're playing for blood.
We were.
Okay. I'm next on the list. And my
actually, James.
James.
You didn't get away with that.
James.
Oh, I was just going to be quiet and let it happen.
James.
Okay. So anyway, I used to be in a rock band. And another story is that my mom still has the first story I ever wrote. And I learned to drive in a 57 Chevy.
What's the middle one again?
The middle one is my mom still has the first story that I ever wrote.
What was it called?
Why didn't I report it?
So what kind of music? You said you were in a rock band.
It's a
what
rock
kind of
band,
music?
yeah.
What did you do your own pieces or did
No,
you...
we were just a normal bar band, did a lot of covers. Whatever was out at the time, or not necessarily was out at the time, just songs that we liked.
What
How many
instrument did you
people?
play? Yeah.
I play guitar, and we had it varied. We usually had about 3 or 4 guys. It's like we had one kind of a loose guitar system. It's like guys would go out and it's all that kind of stuff. And sometimes I'd be in it, and sometimes I didn't have to play. The next gig I would. So I was kind of fill-in guy. And if I didn't do that, I ran the soundboard.
I think that's a lie because I remember saying to you, "Oh, is that a music stand in the corner of your room?" And I don't remember what you said about it, but it was no, and you didn't bring up any instruments.
It was for his camera.
It was a tripod for his camera.
It's a tripod for his camera.
Because he's a photographer.
I'm gonna say the 57 Chev is true because my wife and you were in the same age range, and that's what she learned to drive on. So I'm gonna say that's true. So I'm gonna go with the Mom's still has your first story.
I think
I don't know. As a mom, I still have some stories that my actual professional writer son produced when he was in elementary school. So, moms save those kind of things. Trust me.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's the band.
I think it's the band.
I think it's the band.
Because every single time I do, I'm picking the wrong one. I'm out.
Hey, what color was the car?
Is it the pukey blue stuff, that light blue stuff? It's like it's the pits.
With a solid blue, or did it have a white top?
It had a white top, and then it had that stuff on the side that was white also with the chrome things. It's like like waves almost.
Pinstriping?
No, not pinstriping. No. It was like the back on the side. It was about like that, and then it would kind of had a roll to it, and it would taper down also.
I've
if
seen
that makes
pictures.
any sense, I can see it in my head, but I can't describe it.
Okay, so I'm gonna go with music. Everyone,
Band.
Yeah, band.
Band.
Story.
story. James.
Well, actually, the true story, the lie is a '57 Chevy.
Wow. Fooled us.
You really got us on that one.
And it was a ragtag band, believe me. They're like, maybe that's why we never got big. Because like I said, guys would go, guys would come, and I kind of filled in on guitar. Sometimes I'm in the soundboard, so it was interesting.
Okay.
Good job. Good job.
Yeah, good job. Good job,
Good
lying.
job of fooling us.
Yeah.
Great liar, people, believe me.
So, James, your mom has a thumbs up from me. You know, like I said, as a proud mom, I hung on to some fiction that my son wrote when he was in elementary school. So.
I would give my eye teeth if I could find that story. And she doesn't know where it is. I know it's someplace that she has it. But it was, I saw a UFO when I was like 8 years old, and I wrote a story about it. Like, why didn't I report it? And why didn't I? I don't know. But like, it was heavily influenced by Marvel Comics and all that kind of stuff. A lot of internal thought pattern stuff. And I just thought it was a cool little story. I saw it, I don't know. The last time I saw it was probably about 20 years ago or something like that. But it was a neat little story.
Explains a lot. Abducted by aliens?
No, but I did write a story.
They didn't keep him.
They didn't keep me. I came back.
They didn't keep him.
Yeah.
They threw him back.
So those of you who might accidentally meet up with Kevin McLaughlin at this fall's 20 Books in Vegas, feel free to ask him about Slither.
Okay.
That was one of his first real, full length. He kept writing its stories. Slither was an alien who came to Earth to help people out because we had messed up our planet enough that basically there was very little dry land left. Everything had melted. Talk about predictive.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you bump into Mel or Desiree in particular, if you bump into Kevin, ask him about Slither, tell him, and he will know immediately that Mom has been telling tales.
Awesome.
That was so cryptic, and we had just talked about getting abducted by aliens that I thought you were saying, ask him about Slither. Like, we got abducted by aliens together.
Yeah, I could have used that as one of my truth or lies.
Yeah.
I just didn't think of it until now.
Yeah, imagine one of us made one of our stories about being abducted by aliens. I was just like, yeah, that's one of the true stories. Okay, so my first one, I was abducted by aliens. I could do that. In elementary school, my brothers fell off cliffs, two cliffs. When I was in high school, I hacked into someone's computer who I didn't like, and I got suspended for it. When I was in college, I moved in with my boyfriend on our first date. I'm done.
So brothers, hacking, and your wayward lifestyle at your first date.
How many years ago did you move in with your boyfriend?
4.
4.
So
How
where
many brothers do you have?
3.
I'm sorry.
Where did you go on your first date?
To see Venom.
I was sure you're going to say a bar. Like, I was sure.
How long did you know your boyfriend before you dated him?
How long, sorry?
How long did you know your boyfriend before you dated him?
We used to meet up on a bench every night in the evening for about 3 months.
But why do you meet up?
Because
Talk about books and
Sure.
we were going to the same college, and we would talk about school.
Okay. Oh, so it wasn't the first time you met him. It was your first date.
Date. Yeah.
Date, like official date. Got it. Are your brothers okay?
They're a little nuts. Oh, yeah. They have broken so many bones. And one of them was worse than the other in terms of the cliffs. And he like ripped bones, or he has a bunch of metal in his legs.
Ouch.
I'm going to go with the hacking
Yeah.
because you said it was in high school.
Yeah.
I can see you perhaps being able to do it, but maybe it wasn't at that point. So
You're not gonna get caught. You're gonna just do it and not get caught. You said you got suspended and I think you said something in one of our sessions about your brother, so I think that's true. So
Yeah.
I think the hacking is the one.
Jess, you did those so deadpan that I'm having a hard time really picking between truth and lie there.
Yes, no tell.
Those are
Yeah,
good.
she has no
don't
tells,
play
that's for
poker with
sure.
Jess.
Really?
I just smiled the whole time.
I'm going to say the first date. I don't think you moved in with your boyfriend on the first date.
I'm
That
gonna
would
go with,
be responsible.
I think Fred's right.
Yeah.
Fred, you better be right.
By the way, is there wagering going on here? I didn't see anything in the chat.
I don't know. I think it's all like to tell the truth myself.
So the issue becomes, was she smart enough to not do that or what? Because she's pretty bright. Well, she could hack into
I don't think she probably hacked. I don't think she'd get caught.
Yeah.
That's
I would
the
think
thing
the
there.
same. Yeah.
That's the thing right there. That's kind of like, nah.
It's enough truth in there. The part that's the lie is that she got suspended.
Yeah.
I'm going with the hacking also.
Yep. Same.
Okay. It was the hacking. I don't know how to hack.
Sorry.
But one
What
of
did
my other brother was the hacker, and he actually did it in grade 7, and he did
Wow.
get
Got caught.
Was it same brother that fell off the cliff? Did he land on his head?
no different brother.
Hey, I just thought of something. If you get caught hacking, is it truly hacking, or do you call it something else? Or should I call it something else?
I call it hacking.
Yeah, it's
If
like,
you get caught hacking, is hacking, Bubby. It's like, what are you hacking though? You know, the
I
Federal Reserve.
Who learned how to do that, and he learned from some guy who was very mysterious, and he told me about things about knowing when somebody took showers and all kinds of stuff, because he could hack the water system and their computers. And he told me the guy that taught him asked him, do you want to be famous or do you want to be a ghost? And he said a ghost, so he answered right.
Whoa.
But he was good after he did that. They used to set up war computers and try to hack each other constantly. He tried to get a job at the airport in Mojave, which is outside of Edwards Air Force Base. And he went in and he told them, give me a computer. And they gave him a computer, and he hacked in, had every single username and password on their network. And he scared them because they didn't hire him. Because he said, I can fix this. And they didn't hire him because he was too good.
It's kind of cool when you're a part of the process of getting hired, is to hack into something.
Yeah, but he didn't get hired. So.
Well, that's
real close.
Yeah, they call that ethical hacking.
There is a certification for that.
All right, who's next?
KJ.
John?
Oh.
Oh. Yeah, John, I think. Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, AJ.
John.
Number 1, 1960. I worked my way south on a fish boat hauling, I don't know, about 8,000 live crabs from Alaska down to Seattle. That was in December of 1960. Number 2, 1969, I went brown bear hunting with my dad up the Stikine River, and we used a borrowed boat. Number
You
three.
used a which? Sorry, you
a
used a which?
borrowed. We borrowed somebody else's
A
boat.
borrowed boat. Okay.
Number three, in 1974, I got a speeding ticket for doing 80 kilometers in a 60-kilometer zone in Yugoslavia.
Tell you what, John, I'm gonna go with the first one.
The speed, I think you got caught for speeding, but not at that rate.
I feel like he didn't get caught for speeding because I just think John's too nice for speeding.
So
Well-
I wasn't in Europe until a lot later than that. And when I was there, they were pretty tight on speeding, even just a little bit over the limit. But I don't know that far back to be able to guess on that one.
I'm going to go with the fish boat because you said in 1960, and that would have put you would have been very young. How old were you when you were doing that?
Give something away.
That's why I'm going to go with that one, okay? Because I don't, because you were in Vietnam, so that would have mean you would have graduated probably 65 to 60, anywhere between 65 and 69.
That was my logic.
And so that would have put you maybe 10 or between 10 and 12 in 1960. So
Yeah.
I'm going to go with the fish boat.
Oh, did you just get caught? John, go with it.
I'm proud of you, Don. Logic.
Those
have a
dates, those dates could be very telling.
I think, John, when I was 17, I went bear hunting with my dad. And where we got to the place, there was a sign that said bear left. So we went home. So I think the crab story is a lie. I think the crab story is a lie.
How fast did you say you were going when you got the speeding ticket?
80.
80 kilometers in a 60-kilometer zone.
That's easy to do.
What year? What year was
1980.
that? Don? 84?
74.
In 74?
I think you have to tell us.
Which one?
Fish boat.
Fish boat's a lie.
Fish boat.
Fish boat.
I'm trying to remember if you where the
You're right, I was young, but I had a job on there and it was in December and it was a nasty trip south on the, and we were hauling live crabs out of Alaska and it was on the snow mist. It was 80 feet long.
Wow.
And on that trip, coming through the Straits of Georgia, there was a advisory for anything under 75 feet to stay in port. Well, we were 80 feet, we went. No, the lie was the brown bears. In 69, I went on a moose hunt with my dad up the Stickeen River. So that was the lie. And yes, in 1974, I got a speeding ticket in Yugoslavia.
Okay.
Well done.
Well, John, I have a question. It's like in 1960, how did you get out of school, man?
My mother was in the hospital in Seattle. So my dad pulled me out and we actually both worked our way south on the boat. He was the cook.
Okay.
Wow.
I did little cleanup jobs and I had to count the crabs as they loaded them and unloaded them.
Kind of neat. Okay.
Brought a whole new meaning to having crabs when you were that age, eh?
Yeah, really.
Okay, I think it's AJ's turn. It's 9 o'clock in case anyone has to go, by the way. But I did
It's too cool.
warn you all. We're going an extra half hour.
Hello from your resident introvert here. So yay, I'm on screen. Okay, I'll make this quick. Many moons ago, I was a state representative. Number 2, during my travels abroad, I had the honor of meeting one of the now former presidents of the United States. Number 3, for a few years in my life's journey, I was part of a royal court that traveled far and wide.
Him.
Was that Royal Court the Ren Fair?
SCA.
That's what I was thinking.
What
Which
office?
president?
You said you held political office. What office?
A state representative.
Which
Okay.
president?
Clinton.
Bill or Hillary?
And you met him overseas?
Bill. Billy.
So
No.
none of these things sound like a resident introvert.
Yeah.
I know.
You picked some really sneaky ones.
I'm also on camera.
I think state representative.
I think the representative in meeting Bill Clinton is true.
This can go together.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, I think the royal court's a lie.
Far and wide sounds like something out of a story.
But she didn't say being a royal court doesn't necessarily mean the Prince and Princess of England, or unless it's one of the Dutch, perhaps Holland is still, I believe, has a queen, and I think Norway still has a king. But so it could have been any of those, or it could have been a traveling troupe royal court program of some sort. I was thinking it might be something along that lines.
When did you meet Clinton? What year?
Oh, God.
And what hotel was it at?
It was in New
You're not
Orleans.
Orleans.
Was in New Orleans.
I thought you said overseas.
Aha.
No, I said during my travels abroad.
Oh, okay.
I'm a writer. I fudge with words.
I have no idea.
No.
Does anyone have a strong idea?
Now,
Nothing
Kate,
strong.
Not a strong one.
military,
Not strong.
a child of military, so she's been bounced around. So I get the travel thing.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with Clinton.
I'm going to go with the state representative.
I think the royal.
I'm gonna go with the
Ow.
royal.
All three. Okay.
So nobody
other
knows.
Nobody knows.
Yay, I get the prize. the little lie is that I spoke with Mr. Bill Clinton before he was a president, when he was on campaign in New Orleans as a senator, not as a president. It was like a year before he became president. So that was a lie. I actually was a state representative in an international Masonic organization that taught young ladies.
Well done. Well done.
And I was also a duchess, part of a royal court and a Ren Fair. And I do have pictures to prove it.
Oh, wow. Awesome.
A little bit of truth to everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I kind of followed Desiree and even Jess, where it's a baby lie.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good.
All right, who's next? What's A, B, C, D, E, F, G? L's. We're on to Linda, right? Right?
Yeah, I think I'm next, based looking around at all the names. And I'm going to be the opposite of most of you. I'm probably going to use up all or most of my 2 minutes because I can't ever tell a story without telling a story. So many of you know some of the strange things about me already, that it was hard to come up with 3 good ones. So we're going to go in chronological order with the oldest to the newest. Back when I was expecting child number 4, and was 8 months pregnant at the time, my husband and the other 3 children and I were vacationing at Lake George in New York State. And I have always wanted to go parasailing. And I wasn't sure once the new baby was born, how many opportunities I would have in the following years. And so I'm like, okay, I'm going to go parasailing. Well, it took practically an act of God. I had to sign so many pieces of paper. You could probably never do it today, but at the time they were willing if I signed enough waivers to let me parasail. So I did my first parasailing experience at 8 months pregnant on Lake George in New York State. That was one. Item 2, you all know I'm a martial artist. I used to be a competitor and really enjoyed competing, but as a black belt, you're also expected when you go to major tournaments like a state qualifier for nationals, you're expected to referee. So they run the black belts a lot of the time first, so that then the black belts are free to referee for the rest of the day. So I was in a match with a good friend of mine, and we both really were kind of hoping for a slot on a nationals team. And we were sparring, and we get right to the end of the match, and the referee puts his hand between us to stop the match because the time is over. And I heard him and dropped my guard. She did not hear him, came around with a spinning heel kick, clipped me in the nose. I didn't realize just how bad it was at first, except of course my hands are like this, and she's going like, oh my gosh, and everything. But, she had won the match anyway. We bowed out. I went to sit down. My corner coach comes over to me with a towel, and I'm like, no, I'm fine. And as I say it, she shoves the towel to my face because all of a sudden my nose starts gushing blood. So I'm sitting there, we're trying to staunch the bleeding and everything. And the tournament director walks over to me, puts a hand on my shoulder and says, are you okay? And I'm like, I guess I will be. And his immediate response was, you'll still be able to referee, right? So that's story number 2. Story number 3, many of you know that I was stationed in Europe from 99 to 07. And wonderfully enough, that meant that living in Germany, by the way, this is pretty old at this point, but this is one of my World Cup shirts. They had World Cup. And since my grandfather played pro soccer for the Liverpool Reds when he was significantly younger than probably most of the people in this room, I have grown up as a big soccer fan. So, well, what am I going to do? World Cup football, Germany. Yes, I'm going to go to as many of these things as I can. And I managed fantastically to score tickets to the final match at the Olympiastadion in Berlin, which turned out to be France and Italy. They tied up the score 1-1, and Italy won in penalty shots at the very end. And probably one of the highlights of my sporting life, at least. So go for it, guys. Which one?
One of the stories I was going to tell was a parasailing story while we were in Mexico on that same trip at the Grand Riviera Resort Hotel in Maya. But I went out with my daughter and we had to sign the waivers. She ended up being on the boat too long and ended up, by the time we got up in the air, the boat was doing this, and she was feeding the fish from 200 feet in the air. So I think there's a lot of truth to your story about the parasailing, but I think they probably, no matter how many waivers you signed, I don't think they would have let you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You said
the same thing.
8 months,
think
right? 8 months pregnant?
Yeah.
8 months pregnant. She was born the end of September. Actually, more like 7.5 months, because it was mid-August and she wasn't born until the 30th of September. So
Yeah, I think you went parasailing, but you weren't 8 months. So.
Yeah. I don't think it was.
I was kind of thinking the soccer one is interesting. And like Jackie's story, you threw in a lot of details, and it could be like France played Germany in the finals. You know what I'm saying? So,
actually, you can look
she died.
that up. France did play Italy, and there were the Italy won in penalty shots. I am
I'm doing it legit. I'm not going to cheat and do.
I'm a massive football fan. I know the stats.
I agree. I think that I agree. In the United States, there's no way they let you go on the parasailing. I'd be stunned. Maybe Mexico. I don't know.
Maybe Mexico.
Yeah, not Lake George. That's got to be the lie. It's a good one. All great stories, by the way.
Okay, are you all agreed on the fact that it was the parasailing?
I don't know.
Not parasailing. I actually
Wow.
did parasail at 7.5 months pregnant on Lake George in 1980, which was when she was born. But although I was stationed in Europe in 2006, every single football game that I watched while I was while World Cup was going on was at some bar where they put up a big sheet and projected the game onto the screen. And at every single one of them, I drank too much beer. But no, I did not score those amazing tickets that I wished I could have to Berlin. So
well done.
Yeah, well done. Great job on the last two stories.
yeah, I knew that I picked up the parasailing one as one of my truths at the very beginning, because I'm like, nobody's going to believe this. So I'm glad I came up with that.
Yeah.
Who's next? I'm done doing.
Who's next?
Trisha.
Looks like
Myra.
Myra.
Yeah,
Myra. And then
Oh,
Myra.
well, you guys are hard, this is one time it's just a hard act to follow, all of you. So, before COVID, I traveled extensively, and I was an advisor for a couple of the travel groups. One was for that advise safe places for gay people to go, and the other one was TripAdvisor, and I had 82,000 followers before we fell off the cliff there. The other one, let's see, 2. In all my loving of travel, I fell in love with, having grown up in the Yucatan, I fell in love with the Yucatan and purchased a 125-acre ranch about 40 minutes from Chichen Itza, where we have botanical gardens and just introducing local fauna that is being destroyed by non-Mexicans. And the other one is that I love running. And so with all my travel and wherever I go, it's been wonderful because I get to run everywhere. So some of the most extraordinary places running, it's like the Isle of Skye, because it's just beautiful. Not so much Egypt, running wasn't so much fun. You can't be my color and run without people chasing you, wondering why. And it's also not so good to do in Mexico, also because of my color. When I'm running, people are wondering why I'm running, and then they start running because they think if I'm running, they shouldn't be wherever I am. So yeah. Yeah.
I feel like it's the running. Like maybe you can run because of the military, but because of that, you're like, I'm done, I'm sitting now. And I think the second one is true, because I know you have property everywhere.
Second one's definitely true. But
And the first one's just so weird for you.
she runs from alligators, and she outran an alligator. So no, it was a bear. It was the bear.
Yeah.
I was a bear bait. Give me a break, man.
Bear, sorry. But it was Louisiana though. So
Once again, I think there's a hint of truth to all three of them.
Yeah.
It's how much.
I think you can run, you just don't enjoy it.
Me too. Yeah.
I'm kind of torn between 82,000 and 125 acres. So I'm going to say number one's the lie. I'm going to say I'm sure you had the following. I don't think it's 82,000 though. So I'm going to say number one's the lie. Just because of maybe it's 81,000. That's the reason I'm going with the first one, which will be a lie.
Well.
Yep. Go for it.
It's
Yeah.
the running, actually.
Yeah. Okay.
I thought you were a runner.
Away from shit, yeah, if you're chasing me. I will not run if I don't have to. I had a very nice Land Rover when I traveled in Europe. And I don't run. There's no reason to leave the car unless.
I must have been dreaming that then.
Yeah. No, I'm not a runner. And Jess is right. I ran so much in the military that I only run as a civilian.
Yeah. Okay, now it's Mel.
Oh, cool. Let's see. I once had a consulting gig that took me to St. Thomas in the Virgin Islands, and I moved there for 4 months during that whole time. Number two, I was the corporate coordinator for Big Brother, Big Sister program with my organization. Every year we had an annual awards dinner. It was a fundraiser, and I got to present an award to Eli Manning, which is my favorite player of all time. And number three is I once did a charity bike ride from Boston to New York.
Whoa.
Whoa.
Damn.
No, none of those sound outrageous enough.
No, they don't, do they?
Did the Big Brothers and Sisters, they used to do something called Bowl for Millions or something like that? Did they have a program like that?
They have a bunch of different fundraisings. They did bowling. They did one with the NFL at the stadium, but the one we did every year was called Sidewalks in New York. It was hosted at this giant ballroom.
I think the middle one is true.
Yeah, I suspect it is.
Yeah.
Unless the lie is Eli Manning being his favorite player of all time. I think I'm overthinking these things.
That's our job, though. That's our job.
I'm going to say number three is the lie. I don't think there's a.
I'm wondering about number three too.
I mean, it's like 95 from Boston to New York. It's horrible driving. So.
Yeah, that is a bit of a haul.
I don't know
it's
about
only
on a bicycle. Oh my God.
I think you maybe did a major marathon or a triathlon on a bike or whatever they call those, a road race, but not that far. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was all around Boston, but not from Boston to New York.
Wait a minute,
Maybe
no,
it was Boston to Philadelphia.
Yeah, it was a pedal bike. Pedal
It
bike.
was a pedal bike. No,
Yep.
yeah.
I'm going to say C. Three is the lie.
Yeah, that's what I'm going
Yeah, I
for.
think I'm going to go with
I think you
three.
lose your boy parts. I don't run that far. That's just like brutal.
So number three is actually true. It was a.
Oh my
three-
God.
I
Wow.
suck at this, man.
Yeah, it was a 3-day bike ride, 250 miles.
Wow.
We took back roads the whole way down.
Holy
It was
moly.
fun. Yeah, it was fun. We camped each night. They pitched tents at different places, and we camped, and then start off again in the morning. But we raised close to $3 million. It was an AIDS research run race. So the lie was the Big Brother, Big Sister. I was the coordinator. I did meet Eli Manning, but
Yes.
but I did not get to hand him I didn't do the presentation. I handed somebody else an award. But Eli is my favorite player of all time.
That was really sneaky, Mel.
Yes. That was sneaky.
Yes, and I did live in St. Thomas for 4 months. So
What was your
Good job.
consulting?
what's that?
Oh, sorry.
What was your consulting job?
We were doing a security audit of their retirement system.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
That was a tough job.
Yeah, they have 26 holidays down there, so there was not every other week you had an extra day off. So
It sounds like British Columbia. That's what the school system's like there, apparently.
Yeah.
That's why it took you 4 months.
Yeah.
Okay, Patricia.
So my mother was a terrible cook. She was not intuitive. She had to have a recipe. In fact, she used to follow my grandmother around. My grandmother was a brilliant cook from scratch. She followed my grandmother around, and before my grandmother put anything in a pot or in a bowl, she would measure it and write it down so that she could sort of be like her mother. I think it was a thing. The one exception was, well, I guess it wasn't really an exception. She found a recipe for Caesar salad that was just really yummy. And in her honor, we have Caesar salad every Saturday night without fail. That's number one. I was born in Toronto, but when I was little, my parents moved us to Europe, to France, to Provence, where we stayed for several years. And it was a bit of an adventure, but I was really too young to appreciate it. So I say, curses, you parents. You should not have done that when I was little. It should have been later on when I was looking for male companionship. And the third thing was that I spent, when we had returned to Canada, and I spent 22 years getting my Bachelor of Arts with a major in sociology.
Wow. Two is the lie. I think
I
number
think one is true because I know you make Caesar salad dressing that you freeze. So that's true. You lived in France though? I feel like you would have mentioned it by now.
There's
J'étais
probably
très, très petite à ce temps-ci.
it's the I think the ages are off. So I think that's the lie.
I think it's
You
just a
said-
degree. It's probably not 22 years.
I can see that. I can see that. You said
Yeah.
Caesar salad without fail every Saturday. I mean, that's one of those. Again, I'm overthinking all these, but you know, it's a lot of Caesar salad, even though you do freeze the dressing, according to Jess. I'm going to go with number one. I think it's maybe it's every month as compared to every Saturday.
Well, or maybe mom wasn't as bad a cook as she's making out.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I mean, every Saturday night without fail, that means you never go out to eat out on a Saturday night. You know, if you had said every weekend, it might have been a little more plausible, but every Saturday, you were very specific on the Saturday. So I'm going to go with the Saturday being the lie.
Yeah.
Too. Yeah.
But if you'd said Sunday, it would work.
I think once a week would work.
Well,
You want to know? It was number two. We actually went to Australia, and I was put into high school in Australia, in Sydney. And I can sing, after a couple of glasses of wine, I can sing you the Sydney Girls High school song, but not tonight, just saying. It actually did take me 22 years to get my degree. I got married young, had children right away, got too poor, divorced, and didn't go back for quite a while.
How long after you came back from Australia did you keep your accent for?
Only when I drink wine.
Really?
It's true. Or when I talk to anybody else who's either from Britain or from Australia. And we actually do have Caesar salad every Saturday.
Wow.
Well, you
It's
were too poor to
obsessive.
eat out, so.
Well, that happens. Yeah. It's true.
Well done.
Really well done.
That's
You
right.
got us.
All of you
We
guys.
got most of us.
Listen, like learning from the best. Holy crow. I'm listening to the details and all the stuff that you're trying to think. I can't remember. I don't know. Nice.
Shay's up. Shay's up. Shay's up.
I got one more.
So I guess I'm last. So I played harp in Edinburgh, Scotland, just once. I was involved in a car crash with Sylvester Stallone. And number three is I got paid to watch bull rides.
Paid to watch bull rides?
Can you expand on what that means?
Yeah, that's got most of us puzzled.
So I've been an extra, a background extra for filmings in the area, and one of the productions was the main character was a bull rider, so I got to be paid to watch the bull rides, which was fun because I've never been to a rodeo before.
And you said Edinburgh is where you played the harp?
Yes.
Yeah, I was going to say, why were you in Edinburgh, Scotland?
I actually was finishing up my language arts degree, and there was a study abroad program So I studied in Cambridge for a couple of weeks, and then I toured England, Ireland, and Scotland for another 2 weeks. And when I was in Edinburgh, I had some extra time before a tour, and there was a music shop there. So they had a harp, and they let me play and practice for a little bit.
That's totally true.
A lot of people don't know this, but Frank Stallone is actually the bad driver in the family, not Sylvester.
I was going to say about that Sylvester Stallone.
Okay, so the Sylvester Stallone is related to the rodeo thing. It's a different production, but I'm again a background character there. And there was a car crash scene, and I am the car that's behind the moving truck that his car crashes into. So it's not actually a real crash, it's a staged crash, but I'm involved in it.
What movie is it?
It's not out yet. It's not out yet. It's Tulsa King.
I think
it's coming out in November.
Okay, so now I'm totally confused because they all sound like they could be true with the explanation.
Yes, they do all sound
Yeah.
true.
And she did not
Sneaky of you,
hesitate.
Shay.
She did not hesitate with any of those stories.
That's why I asked for the name of the movie. Yeah.
You were on the set while the bull riding was go on, but you were already, that was part of the part you were being paid for to actually be part of that scene.
I was being paid as a rodeo fan.
Okay.
She was an extra.
I was an extra. So I was in the stands, and I was watching the bull rides. Actually got to watch some barrel races too, which was kind of fun because at one point we had to mime clap for most of everything, but the part where we actually had to cheer, they didn't have the horses there. So they had someone drive out in the rodeo arena with a golf cart. We had to cheer our heads off. It was crazy.
I think I'm going to have to go with the
That's
harp.
getting so much detail that it really starting to sound very true. Either that, or you're just as good at telling stories as you are at writing them.
I'm going to go with you.
He's a good writer, which is a problem.
You wanted to play harp in Edinburgh, but they wouldn't let you practice in the place.
I think I'm going with the harp too.
Yeah, harp.
I'm going to go with Stallone. I think it might be a different actor.
Okay. Well, are you ready?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The harp was the lie. I actually played in Dublin.
I was going to say Glasgow.
It was Dublin.
That's funny.
Hey.
Had quite adventurous life there.
Yeah.
So who told a story, a lie that was like totally a lie? Was everything based? Maybe Fred.
Mom was a total lie.
True, but just twisted around.
Susanna Haas was a total made-up thing.
One of the ones I was going to tell was about I went to see Elton John and Billy Joel in concert in Vancouver. We went from Vancouver and they played this dueling pianos. And
I saw that. I did see that.
So after the show, we were staying in downtown Vancouver, and Billy Joel stayed at the same hotel, and he came into the bar after the show, and he sat there and played till 3 o'clock in the morning. But his coach or his manager leaned over and said, "Don't you dare sing a word. You can play all night long, but don't sing anything."
Wow.
So that was a story that I was going to tell.
And what hotel?
It was at Canada Place, the hotel at Canada Place. I think it's the Pan Am Hotel at Canada Place.
And there was swamp gas, right?
No swamp gas there.
We have that in Mexico though a lot.
Unfortunately, the story is true. But we were at the concert, but I wasn't in the hotel when they were playing it. It was. I mean, he was my dream singer kind of a thing, and these other people that were friends of ours, that they were in there when he was doing it. So
when I saw them, everybody went because I saw Elton John. I said, man, I want to see Billy Joel. I don't care.
Yeah.
But it was kind of neat seeing them do the duets and singing each other's song.
Yeah.
But Billy Joel is the only guy that I've seen that I like enough to see twice.
Mm-hmm.
You got to come to New York. He's doing a residency at the Garden.
That's what I've heard. Yeah.
Once a month he's at the Garden. Yep.
Mm.
Well, back when I got that ticket in Yugoslavia, I was doing 70 kilometers in the 60 zone, and the police held up a little sign that said stop. Well, okay, I put the brakes on and came to a stop, and they paced it. And from their pacing, they came up with the 80 kilometers that they charged me for. If I'd have gone, it had been less. It ended up only being, believe it or not, about 10 or 15 American dollars, like chunk change.
Paid on the spot? Paid right there?
Yeah.
In other words, you didn't get a ticket.
You're right. Well, I was issued a piece of paper. Yeah, I saved that.
I used to live in Rotterdam and I'd take the tram every single day without paying because I was an asshole and because they would check, and if you got caught, they'd just be like, all right, pay now. So they made it really easy to, be rules and not have.
When I was in Heidelberg, if you got caught on the Strasse without having your little ticket in your hand or in your purse or in your pocket, whatever, they both kicked you out, but they also checked your ID and they issued a fine, and it was going to get mailed to your house.
Damn.
They were very determined that they were going to make their money off of anybody riding on their public transportation. Thank you very much.
Reminds me of those World War II movies when the escaped prisoners are sitting on the train and papers, please, papers, please.
Yeah, you never knew. I mean, you could go for like weeks without ever seeing anybody, and then all of a sudden you'd be on the Strasse and get them twice on Monday and then once again on Wednesday, and you're like, wow, they're out in force this week.
Well, I was wondering, who was it that told a story about they had a boyfriend that was in a band in Germany or something about musicians in Germany? What was that?
Desiree, wasn't it?
Desiree's rapper?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was wondering, what is it with Germany anyway? Because aside from the fact the Beatles got famous over there, it's like I knew a band that were in Germany and they made it halfway big. They did a couple albums. Are they that starved for talent in Germany, or what's the deal?
No, the first girl rock band, they were from England, and they made it big sort of in Germany because that's where they went to play. And I can't remember, one of them took off and came to the States.
Germany
and that
is
was
just
before
into music.
Runways.
Yeah,
they are.
Shoot.
They're just
It
really into music.
Wasn't Fanny.
They have a lot of bands there. There's two bands from Germany right now, and there's a song that's on YouTube, and they wrote it a few years ago, but it popped up on TikTok, and it's a remake of a Simon and Garfunkel song. Or no, not Simon and Garfunkel, Susan Vega, Joe's Diner or something like that.
Okay, yeah, okay.
Tom's Diner.
Singers, yeah, Tom's Diner, and they have these two singers, and they're singing. And one of them has that real gravelly kind of voice, and the other one is more of a high-pitched, finer tone of voice. And they totally remade the song. It's gotten really huge on TikTok, and over on YouTube you can find it. But and they're two bands, and they work together to make that. And I think the remake they did a year or so ago.
James, are you still on TikTok?
I'm sorry, what?
Are you still TikToking?
Oh yeah, I'm afraid so. Yeah, I just did one the other day. It's it's just a bitch though. Really, it's like how do people have no content whatsoever and have all of these followers? You know, I there's one that's it's all duck lips and fake boobs. You know. But it's like, how does this one chick have 20? She's following 2,500 people, okay, and she's got 95 or something followers. It's like, how do you get followers with no content?
Some of them I think are spam accounts.
Maybe that's it.
There's a lot of them because my main account with my my name on it. I have, let's see, I am a favorite of Brett Michaels. He has many spam accounts following me. Billy Joel, Billy Idol.
All right.
Yeah, so it's just, and I had one that followed me that claimed they were Ryan Reynolds, and they even messaged me and then started talking about Jesus. And I'm like, okay, this is Ryan Reynolds who played Deadpool. I don't think that works together. So yeah, there's a lot of them, but I've seen some of the author TikTokers, and a lot of them, especially the romance authors, they'll do a page flip, and it's just a book with a page flip and then a little excerpt from their book, and that does really well for them. There's an author I follow, and she just goes on about facts authors should know, and she gives all these weird things like the first reported vampire and that kind of stuff. But it right now there's like some kind of big thing on TikTok, because there was another content guy, and he was doing narration, and he teamed up with two other authors, and they were going to create this company called Verba and set it up so that people could do kind of like Amazon does with Kindle and with the Kindle Unlimited, but with audio, with narrated books. Something happened with another author and it all fell apart, and suddenly there are big TikTokers for book talkers, and big, I mean like 10,000 followers, not much more than that, and they're getting their accounts shut down because this author that got it all, apparently she was threatening reviewers. But she has enough followers. It's like, I'm like, how old are we?
Yeah.
Are we adults here? What's going on? But people send their followers after somebody, and I see that a lot with the political people, and they all have like multiple backup accounts because they're constantly getting their stuff shut down.
Yeah.
Politics. But
I stay away from that. Yeah.
It's kind of shocking to see it with the book talk stuff. But
yeah, they do have, but there's people that chase, I know within the LGBTQ community, there are people who target authors on all the media. I mean, we've been having issues because yeah.
There's I saw somebody, I think it was this morning or last night, and this person was talking about it, and it was her, about books, the book banning thing, and the fact that we need to do something about book banning because, they're coming after certain books now.
What?
Yeah, in the state of Virginia, I can't remember what it is, but there's some books that you can't even sell them there in the state of Virginia. But they said it's to expand, that this political movement is going to expand, and they're going after LGBTQ
authors. Yeah.
You're going to come after romance next.
Yeah.
And the romance authors.
Just saying, anybody wants to move to Canada, you let me know. We'll try and hook you up with people.
Yeah.
Hey, my dad was born in the US, but his parents were Canadian. I don't think that will qualify me, especially since at my age, Canada doesn't want to pay for my health care for the rest of my life. But Patricia, if you've got any workarounds, get in touch.
Got a spare room,
It's crazy. And so I mean,
there was somebody who was talking about looking up strategies to combat this, and I saw somebody who works as a librarian in a school, and her suggestion was for people to start, because she said all they get are negative complaints, and she suggested that people overwhelm the school districts, overwhelm the libraries with positive content, positive.
Interesting.
Of your range of books. So
one of the problems is that a lot of these conservative groups have people, they're not looking at who's writing the letters.
No.
So you have one person that's just written 100, they sit there and just write letters. And
Mhm.
so who the hell's got time to do that? I'm not going to write 100 letters, you know.
Well, school
And,
district that some of the complainers don't even have children in the school district.
Exactly. They're just
for that, yeah.
are hitting us. So, you know, it's
This is scary, folks. It really is, because you're the land of freedom. You're the
Theoretically.
theoretically, you are the gold standard, you know?
well, that's
Except
the
we
problem.
never really were.
No, we're
It's a
not.
myth.
Is it?
It's always been a myth.
It's
Yeah.
really weird because just today I was thinking, man, I should move to Canada.
Yeah.
It's like,
Well, Canada, there's a lot of bullshit here too.
Oh yeah. They
Just
really-
recently,
Dumping station.
Refreshing compared to our bullshit.
You know,
Art-
I think it's just politer bullshit because
Maybe,
we're very
yeah.
polite. And
Okay,
you know,
Jess, there's bullshit and then there's bullshit, okay?
yeah.
Our Supreme
know.
Court of Canada just overturned a decision that like don't have a death penalty anywhere in Canada, and for the most part we don't have consecutive terms. But there was they had brought in a number of years ago a law that for somebody who's killed multiple people, that 40 years without parole, and our justice, like our chief court, decided that that was cruel and unusual punishment, and they've moved that back to 25 years. There isn't
25
anybody
years.
that you've ever heard of that has complained about these multiple murderers getting, that it's cruel and unusual.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of people very upset about that.
Mhm.
Almost not quite as upset as your people in the States are in regards to the Roe versus Wade. So,
Well, the
but-
thing is, it's America's karma. See, everybody thinks that I'm an immigrant, and everybody thinks I have a wonderful life. Anybody who wants to work here, I mean, I really do. The thing is that I was also in the military a very long time, and there's a lot of shit here that just doesn't happen. We don't need a Supreme Court that has people that are so fucking old they can't think anymore. We don't need people in Congress that are fucking dead and walking mummies. That's why zombies are real.
yes.
And so, and we are, esoterically speaking and metaphysically speaking, America has to pay for its karma. We didn't build shit, we stole it.
Mm.
We murdered people. We wipe people out. That doesn't go away. And karma isn't, it's the whole fucking country's karma.
Mm.
And so, yeah, we are, and we're going to have to pay for it. All of us. I know, I don't care where we came from. And so by trying to, fear is what makes people do stupid stuff.
Mhm.
As a scientist and a researcher, Caucasian race is dying because it is infertility rates among Caucasians.
Mhm.
It's like
I've noticed
30% higher today than it was 15 years ago, where that's not true in Hispanic and African American and Oriental genetics. Why? I don't know. So if you have a bunch of white people who think that everybody else is going to take over, and even though I look white, I really am not. Even though when I run, people really do like, run, okay? Really, you don't stick around. And so a lot of it is the fear factor. Jesus was not white and did not have blue eyes. So all these stories are starting to crumble. And so when you choose, and I really think that there's a lot of genetic degradation because of low population densities in areas. And it's proven, if you keep intermarrying within population groups, people get really unable to think. I don't want to say stupid, is they don't have the capability to process things. And so they follow. And we essentially have a lot of followers. And what are we going to do with that? I don't know. I know that I'm not leaving this country because it's falling apart. I mean, I took an oath 55 years ago to protect this fucking country from problems within and out. So I'm stuck here. That doesn't mean
I took that same oath as a civilian employee of the U.S. Army, and but that oath extended while I was working, and I did everything I could to defend and protect and support and whatever else while I was doing that job. But I'm not doing that job anymore. They didn't need me. They retired me early. And so I had to move into another career. And yeah, hey, I don't feel that the oath that I took back when things were different should hold me to anything right now.
The thing is, it is the oath that the military personnel take is against not
All
only,
enemies, foreign and domestic.
yes.
You know what? Here's something I want to mention, because one of the things that I'm not sure if you guys remember, I think her name is Janet Elliott. She's a big spokeswoman. She was an educator, and she started the Blue Eye, Brown Eye lesson plan with the school. Well, she's been very outspoken over the last 5 years. And one of the things she spoke about was a book called The Birth Dearth, written in 1988. And that book, she named there like 3 options this guy went on about paying women to have babies, but then you'd have to pay brown people to have babies, letting more immigrants in, but that means you would let more brown people in. So the third one that he said was to get more white babies born, which dovetails Roe v. Wade. And that was in 1988 when he was going on that. And he was advising the president, and that was Reagan at the time.
Yeah.
So you're looking at something, and then you look at some of these other authors coming out of Fox News, like
Yes.
Hannity.
But there's a lot of really outspoken people. The problem is that the people that are educated, we don't sit around and yell, we just sit around and do. We don't sit around and do, we're doing. And so I'm not really worried about that. My biggest concern, I live in Florida, and this state it's either going to start here or in Texas. One of these 2 states is going to blow its cork. And so the thing is, the difference between a civilian taking an oath and the one that we took, I was also an officer. There is no end date. I could still be recalled as long as I've been retired, as long as I've been out, as fucked up as I am. That was a joke my buddies and I have. Where the hell would they put us? They would put the young people out in the field, and they would put us in the office doing whatever the hell we could do, and with our little walkers, even though we're not on walkers. But so it isn't. We need a reboot. We really do. We can't run 2022 on a system that was set up not even before we became an independent country. We're running on systems that are so fucking old they don't work where they work. So yeah. And it's gonna get crazy, and it's gonna get what it is. I mean, in the last few years, and the pandemic has made people really afraid. And so what do? Is we either deal with the fear or we don't. I have to deal with the fear. I have people that are constantly wondering what to do. It's like, why don't you talk to people? I am, I know, KJ, you're introverted. You have no idea. I can do this, but boy, when I'm around people, I'm the nastiest person in the world. I really can't. My wife says, you need to go to your room. And so, because I don't tolerate shit, for one. And so
that's my hubby. I put him to bed to his room.
So the questions are, we have to have conversations, but you have to have 2 people that have conversations. I don't know how we're going to deal with the fear. I do know that if we have to take up arms, as much as I teach harmony and understanding and equality, you harm or threaten my family, I will take your ass out. And at my age, I am not going to try and hurt you. You will never fucking get back up. That is my own solution. I will not leave anyone who can get the fuck up. So they say, well, you carry a weapon. I'm not going to carry a weapon. You know how heavy a fucking weapon is to carry? Everybody carries them. I'll let them carry it, and then I'll use it when I need it. It's not a big problem. So the thing is that right now in America, everyone has to decide really where they are.
There is.
I feel like that's a bit of the issue. It's like, are you here or are you here?
No, it's what we're willing to do. How are we willing to be who we are?
People are saying, hey, well, the likelihood of civil war is not likely. And they're looking back at our Civil War with all the guns and the military and stuff. But there was a girl on TikTok, and she went over there. She did 3 TikToks about it. And she said, that's not how it's going to happen. She said, it's going to be more like a civil war like in Germany. where you have little, and she said, you're going to have little pockets of militias and they'll be either working together or not quite working together, but they're little pockets of militias doing this stuff. And
yes.
it's
And
not
I mean,
going to.
as a veteran in the veterans community, somebody mentioned about underground. Yes, we have an entire group set up to move women into states where they can have an abortion if they need one. That's all. I mean, that's what we're doing. I don't care where we have to take them. And we'll take the consequences. The thing is that in order to redo, we need to rethink. And you know, it's been stated over, you can't fix the problem with the same conditions that you created the problem with. We have to get, you know, and I'm depending on young people because at my age, this is kind of, you know, my brain is kind of like this, thinking out of that box gets a little myopic. So young people who are not thinking within that realm are the ones that are finding the solution. We don't work. This isn't Europe. We're not a little country. We are this humongous country with 300 million people. And that sounds like a lot, right? No, it's not. It is not. You have that many people in the UK. It's like, you know, what the hell? And they're like in this big. I traveled there. So for us to have a civil war is going to be very much. The Civil War was not a civil war. We had little, it was a little thing. You know, where did it fight? You can drive through every fucking battleground in 3 hours. It's more going to be technology. It's going to be, I mean, I can see Texas breaking up into like 100 different places. And the people, you need to decide, okay, we can say this stops here. And that's when it stops. How does it stop? Someone's going to be on the front line. I don't care if I die. This is not my problem. And that's not a martyr thing. It's that when enough of us say this is enough, people are going to start saying, you know, because when a veteran brother of mine stands across from me and I said, you or me, you know, do it. That's how we've been stopping, because at that point, and I understand there's a lot of veterans that went into the military so they could get training, so they could come out and they could be freedom fighters or patriots or whatever the hell they are. The thing is, they didn't go in for the right reason, nor do they have the right training. So how is it going to happen? A revolution doesn't have to be by weapons. A civil war does not have to be by people dying. It has to be by people saying no more. And that's not going to happen. And so I will never leave this country because I have fought and lost friends so that we have the freedom to speak and choose. And I will keep choosing, and I will keep speaking, and I will keep standing forward. And we don't have to. I mean, I don't mind being on the front line. If they want to take out an old lady, have a good day. I mean, you know, you look like shit, but what?
But don't you think the American people are the ones that are divided? It's not like the Americans against the government. It's like the Americans against each other, which
Americans against Americans. The government is totally useless. I mean, our government is so full of shit. If you're a politician, I don't even listen to you, because as much as you think I live in a state that has a crisis often because of the hurricanes. Never, when there has been a crisis, and I've lived through some really shitty ones, has the state, the government, or any fucking buddy come to help us until we've already solved the problem. And by the time they get here, we don't care. It doesn't matter. You know, Wilma took us out of here for like 27 days. Within 10 hours, we were all together. We all were feeding each other. We were all making runs. Who did what? It's the whole illusion is that there is something bigger that owns you. Nothing owns my ass. Nothing. And Americans need to realize that nothing owns us unless we let it. And I refuse. So freedom is freedom. It means you do what you do, I do what I do. And as long as what you do doesn't interfere with me and my choices, we're fine. The minute you start to tell me what the fuck to do, you and I are going to have a real problem.
Why don't you tell us how you really feel, Myra?
Oh my God. You know, I have twice a month, I do believe it, it's a Reiki group. My Reiki students from all over the world would come in and send Reiki. And that's how I talk to them. And they look at me and they think, Jesus, I have trained over 500 Reiki masters. My job is to teach people to be in harmony. It's also teaching them to kick ass, because there is a point where harmony is not going to get you across the street. It's not going to save your children. I will work at harmony,
Oh,
but you know,
Bye, Jackie.
Good night.
Bye.
Okay.
My daughter did Reiki. She doesn't do it now, but she did do it. She took the courses and did Reiki for a while, but and she's practiced it on me a few times. I can't say it particularly works on me, but you know, maybe I'm too close-minded for it.
Actually, when I was going through cancer treatment, I've had 2 different kinds of breast cancer at the same time. And that was one of the things that made a difference for me.
Reiki is, see, it doesn't, people think of Reiki as something that does something. Reiki is universal life energy that responds to you in your need.
It was,
but it will respond to you however open you are. It's not something that can be forced on you. I mean, a true Reiki practitioner out of my school just sends Reiki. Their biggest job is to get the shit out of the way so that they can just be a vessel.
There you go.
And then as a vessel, whatever you need comes through. And that is the most important part of Reiki. You never stop being a Reiki practitioner if you've never practiced. Once you've been initiated, you always have Reiki, whether you remember it or not. It is what you are. That's the premise of what the energy is. It is a spiritual practice. It has nothing to do with religion. It is about being yourself. And so for my students, the hardest part of that is learning to be yourself, which means facing yourself. It's not about what you do for people. It is about yourself, understanding all of yourself. And so, you know, there is this, in the 80s and 90s, there was this thing about spirituality, people are pacifists. I don't know where the fuck that thing came up, but it's big bullshit in the world. You know, you can be a spiritual person, you can love everybody, you can do everything, but
Bye, everybody. I've just got to get going. Take care.
Right, take care. Get better, eh?
Thanks.
Mara, I totally love you, but I've got a podcast to get out tomorrow. And thank you. And Desiree, thank you. I sent you a link.
Yes.
I'll send you that link, Myra. Thank you for
sweetie. Yes,
answering.
I'd love to see that.
Yep.
Yeah, Desiree, I need to listen to your podcast with Patricia.
It went really well. Patricia did a really good job with your questions.
Awesome.
Do the podcasts, can you listen to them later? I mean, do they stay in a file or something?
Yeah, you can listen to podcasts. They usually podcasts, they'll have archives and you can listen to whatever you want.
Okay. That's a new art form.
Well, it certainly was an interesting evening, and thanks for the Truth or Lies. I thought that was a lot of fun, and I think you all did. You know, like somebody put a post on there, we should put some of these stories into an anthology or something like that. I think there's some real genuine stories in there.
It was really good.
Yeah, it was. Very
Yeah, we
cool.
should do it once a year.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And
Absolutely.
just congratulations for the anniversary.
Yep. Well
Thank you
done.
Tomorrow, but
Thanks for doing
Very
this.
good, Jess. I'm surprised.
That's really awesome.
Very
You
happy.
stay safe, eh? All of you, and everybody get well. Shay, how are you feeling? You feeling better?
I'm actually doing really well. Actually, that was the whole reason for my 2 truths. One of the reasons I haven't been here is because I've been busy every time I get a call back as an extra.
That's good.
That's the real reason I haven't been here. So that I've been having a lot of fun doing that. But one of the reasons for doing that is getting paid for it. I'm hoping to generate an income so that I can self-publish my books when I get them polished and everything, because I don't have the money for the cover art or editing or anything like that. So, but I have some money now. So I'm looking into all of that now. So, but because I'm doing good, I've been able to do that,
Awesome.
do the extra work, and it's been fun. So I'm enjoying myself.
awesome.
Good job. Good for you.
Yeah.
We'll see you
thank
guys next week. Good night, everyone.
But you know what, Shay, reach out to the group. There's people that do cover art without, I mean, you know, that isn't going to cost you a fortune, sweetie. I mean, you know, you need to use your resources.
I can put you in touch with artists.
Okay.
That
yeah,
are-
'cause I was looking at different cover arts, and I'm thinking of, you know, having to pay like anywhere from 200 to 300 for cover art, and I didn't have any income at all. So that was, that was what this has been for. But I haven't been able to do the extra work lately because it's in Oklahoma City, which is like a 100-mile drive, and my husband's like, you're putting too many miles in the car, so I can't take any more extra work unless it's here in Tulsa. So it's just I do need some more resources that are because I still doing that, I still don't have a lot of money, and I'm really nervous about spending money because I'm nervous about spending the money on the books and then they don't sell, and then I've done all that work and I don't know what to do.
Well, first off, you write regardless.
Yeah,
because you're writing for yourself and
right.
You're sharing whatever, and you've got a gift, obviously, and put it out there. There's tons of resources that I'm learning as I'm learning from the mentors and everyone here, but also on my own. There's stuff out there that's free or very low cost. The community that I'm trying to build and host is for authors and artists and basically creative minds that are all new. So like me, that are getting out there and want to get their foot in the door, as it were, but they don't have a big name, or they have just this tiny little one-page thing on DeviantArt, and they're starving for authors to commission them. Maybe even if it's just one line art thing for $5 or $10, they're starving artists, but so are we. Our art is just words, but there's tons of things. And Jess is an amazing resource. Myra is, everyone, James, Mr. Mel, everybody here is a great resource. But I can definitely help put you in touch with some artists and everything else too.
There are artists out there that will do the work because they need their names known. So I mean, it's a trade-off. You do your book, you honor the artist for doing the artwork that puts their name there. You don't have to try and publish. I mean, go on to a fandom or another where you start creating your a following. You just put shit out there. Make something up or do a Harry Potter. I mean, whatever. In your especially you write historical novels. I mean, so find a movie that you love, do a fandom, get a following, and you start getting and it's not costing you anything. You just put it on an AO3 or one of the, just to get your voice out there, and then it's not like it happens overnight, but it happens. My name's out there because I do beta reading now. And I do alpha reading. And it's just like, I do it for weird people who authors aren't going to be able to afford to get an editor or a beta reader. So there's a lot of trading, when I'm ready for the first, once my worst draft, that first one is done over again, and I'm ready for somebody to look at it. I have resources who will do me the favors. I mean, so much of our profession is about helping each other lift each other up, and that's getting to be a bigger community. It really is. I know that we have a huge one in the LGBTQ, and I know that there are similar ones that are mirroring in women in publishing and other things. It isn't impossible to have people that back you. So don't feel like you're in your corner. Write. KJ's right. Just keep writing and write everything. Practice writing on, make up a group. It's your art. It's your art. I know that, your hands are your hands, but it is your voice now that
I think it's because I had a blog in the past, and I never was able, I would try to blog every week and, come up with a schedule, and, then I had that YouTube show, and, every time I try to set a schedule for something, illness comes up or something. Like now I haven't done anything with anything because it's summer. And
Yeah.
between the extra work and the fact that my boys are out of school, it's really hard to stay on a schedule. And everywhere, you know, whether it's blog or video or some kind of content, everyone says you have to have a schedule, like you have to have something come out at the same time. And I try to stick with that, and it's so hard. I can write every day, but I can't push some like content out on a schedule. You know what I mean?
You know, Shay, every author, there's 700 people. What, babe?
Take more of an immersion approach. Like right now, you are on a schedule. You're working, you have your kids, it's summer, like that's now. That's what you're doing now. You don't have to, like, just using the word have to and should and need to, like, is that really, you don't need to do any of it, and you need to enjoy your life and structure it in a way that makes sense for you. Some people do write every day, and some people go to a retreat and write for 2 weeks straight once a year. So it is really about making something work for you and iterating. Like, you haven't tried everything, even though it might feel like that, like, oh my God, you've blogged, you've been trade published, you've had a YouTube channel, like you've tried so many different things. So I understand why it might be a little traumatic to put more money into something when you don't have a lot of money. And some people say you need to have a cover designer. I think you don't need to do anything. Like, what feels right to you when you check in with yourself? What's next? What's a good next step?
Yeah, and you're the master of your schedule. So you set the expectations. So if you can do once a week posting, then that's your schedule. If you can do once a month, then that's your schedule. And then people will get adjusted to that. But don't put unnecessary pressure on you. And one way, you know, authors do is they also just catalog. So write ahead. So if you're doing a weekly thing, you know, get 4 weeks ahead before you even announce that you're doing this weekly, so that you have a backlog and something to fall back on.
And make friends. Marketing is just making friends. If you're doing it in a way that feels good, it's not about algorithms and, you know, having the right keywords and hashtags. It's like, are you making real connections with people who want to back you? And that's where community comes in, whether you're in one or you start one, and just hang out with people who like to read your books.
Yeah. I mean, and that's really, that really is like, if your objective is to make money, you've lost the focus of your writing. Write your book, see it happening. It will come. If your book is your passion, then do your passion. And it can't, and it's not on anybody else's schedule, it's on yours. You can't have passion all the time.
Yeah.
You know, we don't do that. We would burn out. We just like, you do it when you wake up and do it. You know, I sit in front of I love it here because my wife doesn't come in my room and bother me and make me do shit. So I'm always in my room with the door. She's asleep. So, but I'll be in here, like, if I can't work on my own work, I'm reading fan fiction or I'm doing something else, because and then, like, I'll be in the middle of something and I get an inspiration and I'll go back to my book and I'll look at it and then go somewhere else. But you know, it hurts because authors put themselves under so much pressure all the time. It's like, man, what happened when authors used to, when it was only, think guys, when it was only in paper print and you had to kind of like do a world tour. How many times do you want to do that shit? You know, it's like, really? Now we have ebooks and people are expecting us to barf this shit up once a week. It's like, what is wrong with this shit? It's like, I have authors that at first I respected. It's like somebody who can publish or print out 2 books a week. It's shit. I'm sorry. I've read them. The quality of the books go down. Everybody's on a rush. Nobody's editing. It's like, I can't read that crap. I'm sorry. My little head doesn't work. If you have too many spelling errors in the book, I'm done. My brain trips. So then they lose passion. So you have a great story. I can see someone having a great story and getting, it's like with mine. I have a series going and it's running, so I'm fine. When that series done, I have a standalone that might go first before that series gets finished. But it's like it's how we make our life. And I know I'm in a different place, but there are days I get up and I can't. I mean, every day for me, when my feet go on the ground, I say thank you because I can stand up. There are days that's not a possibility. And so some days I can do shit, some days I can't do shit. I always look okay, which is my downfall. It is, because if I can barely walk across the room, but I still look like this, then nobody believes me that I can barely walk across the room. So
run.
And Shay, the other piece that KJ mentioned really is just right. You don't put so much pressure that you have to hit a home run out the gate. There's tons of successful authors that, they didn't hit it till their third, fourth book. But guess what? When they picked up the readers, they went back to the back catalog, that evergreen content, and picked it all up. So.
Yeah, that's right, Mel, because I have a friend she's republished. I guess that when you get in with a publisher, they own you for a while or whatever. Mm-hmm. So she had to wait till that contract was up. She's re-edited and reissued her books under a different name. Mm-hmm. Because she didn't have the readers 10 years ago. Right. But she has the readers now. And so now those old books that were the way she started are now becoming, it's a thing. So don't freak yourself out though, sweetie. It's like, just right.
Yeah.
Yes, and have fun.
Yeah, and enjoy life when you're not writing too.
Right. Well, and following along with Mel's and Myra, and even James has told me this before. I'm not published yet. I'm like you. I'm kind of trying to get there, but in my own time, as you can see, I've got puppers and cats and kids and everything else. But one thing I'm finding, not just with this group and learning golden information, is falling back on some things that I've learned from just my family. And my mom has these gems, not often, but sometimes our family comes up with these gems. And I was in the hospital the day my daughter went DKA, which is when she was diagnosed type 1 diabetic, 2017. And I was freaking out. She's autistic. So we were struggling up to that point anyway. And I didn't know what I was going to do. And I felt helpless. And my mom reminded me that sometimes you're doing great. Sometimes you have your celebrations, but sometimes you have to just celebrate little by little. You can't just say, oh, well, I'm going to do something in 6 months or a year and stuff. That's great and fine and dandy. But when these things happen, sometimes you have to back it down. You have to back it down month by month, week by week, day by day. And in that case, it might have to be breath by breath. And when you take that next breath, you celebrate the one that you just did. You celebrate each and every one until you can go a little bit further. And then, okay, I've got this. I can take another step, or I can go another hour, or I can go another, whatever it is. So sometimes you just have to back it down and celebrate that. Wow, you're in movies. That's awesome. I'm looking forward to seeing that movie that you mentioned. So, it's the little things. Those little things are just as big as these amazing authors here that have these big books, and you will be there too. And so will I. It's just, it might take us a little bit longer than these big guys, but we'll get there. Yeah. It might be in 5 years.
Or 10. These are my first publishing in fiction. I haven't published in fiction yet. That's what I'm working on. And it's not, I'm not going to make myself crazy. I did that before. And it's like, it wasn't freaking worth it. It really isn't. So you really, what do we have? We have this moment. KJ's right. We have this moment. This is the only one that counts.
And then we're dead.
So,
and then we're dead.
Eventually. Thank heavens. Can you fucking imagine being around here? Like when people say they want to be, there's this guy I ran into, and his whole thing is about living in his body for like 1,000 years. I can't fucking hardly take this planet in the last 70. What the fuck? I want to be around here for 1,000 years. Jesus, criminy. That's like really here, right?
Immortality. Immortality would be hard. But 1,000? I think.
Oh, hell no, I get bored. Wait, can you imagine this autistic kid? I can't even, oh, no, not even. That would be torture. I would take myself out. You know, then it'd be one of those movies where you take yourself out and they pop you back up because you can't die.
Yeah.
No, thank you. But you know, it's we just take life so friggin' seriously. And it isn't really. It's a moment. It's a moment, you know, and especially when you have a something that is sensitive, your autoimmune system is compromised. You can't put yourself, I mean, and I hardly ever say can't, but you can't put yourself under a lot of stress. It's not going to be healthy for you. So it's like Mel says, you enjoy it, you do it. In the moment you feel like writing, you wrote 30 words, shit, that's 30 words more than you had yesterday. And then you rest, you know, and then you crash or whatever you need to do. But it's about finding what you do. You love, you know what passion feels like. So just, I
need to get it done. Yeah. The book that I've been working on, the one that you beta read for me, it's like, I know it's done. I just have to fix some parts. And I think it's just been, I've been putting it off because I'm overwhelmed with the idea of publishing it. You know, actually looking for cover artists and editors and stuff. So, but it like you said, it is a one step at a time thing. I need to get that part done and then focus on something else.
Did you find another reader that works in that genre for you?
No, well, I did find other beta readers for it. Yeah, so I have, Jackie gave me a lot of really good information because in a big part of the ending has traumatic brain injury and she has experience with that. So there's a lot of reworking that I have to do because it wasn't authentic. So she was really great about giving me some good advice on that front. And then that's what I need to fix. Once I'm done with that, because other people have critiqued it for, Linda critiqued it for the fight scene because she teaches Taekwondo. She was able to do that for me.
Awesome.
You know, that sort of thing. So I did get some good critiques and other beta readers, and I have really good feedback from it. A lot of people really like it. And I know it's a good book. I'm afraid of spending the money and not being able to promote it well enough. I think because I did publish a book in 2014, which has good reviews. People who read it, they like it, but it didn't sell because I couldn't promote it at the time. I was busy with my son who was having neurosurgery. So when it was released, I didn't get a chance to really jump on the, hey, it's a new release thing. Plus it was only my second book at the time. And that was my last book. I haven't published anything since then. So I don't have a backlist like Mel said. I'm working on that. But yeah, I think I'm a little overwhelmed with, you know, ideas and how to produce them and get seen as an author. But yeah, you know, I have to stop focusing on money so much, you know, making money as a writer, but a lot of that has to do with, you know, my husband.
Your circumstances, yeah.
He's the sole breadwinner now, and I can't ask him to pay for all of it, you know, the editing and cover art and stuff like that. So, yeah, so it's hard to find a balance, I think, but I do need to put less stress on my body because, you know, with the autoimmune, it's hard. I get stressed out and that makes me sick.
Oh, I know that.
Yeah. Everything you have to do, you will be overwhelmed because it's overwhelming. But in 5 years, you're going to know so much more. In 10 years, you're going to know so much more. It'll be less and less overwhelming. But like, if you could just focus on what's the next step, not like what's everything you need to know to become this, who you're going to become in 10 years. Like, what do you need to know to become who you're going to become next month.
Or
And
tomorrow.
yeah, or tomorrow. And if it's okay to invest in yourself, if you're worried about putting food on the table, that's one thing. But if you're making some extra cash and you're trying to figure out like where you're going to invest first, then I mean, let's keep talking about it. There's so many options. There's also the paradox of choice, because you could invest in an editor, a cover designer, a marketing strategist, some sort of software tools to help you streamline things. But it's like, which one? Which one should I start with first? And can I live without it? Can I bootstrap it by doing something else? So yeah, I get money, guilt, just guilt and investing in yourself, and panic over not having enough money. I was basically homeless at the beginning of the pandemic because my partner and I both, I mean, his whole company went bankrupt and I was cut down to like 1/10 of my salary. And then we were homeless just because we happened to get kicked out of our flat at the time. And yeah, money was like, it really depends where you are in your life. And when money's tight, every dollar counts. When money's not tight, it's not such a big deal. It's like marriage, I think. I actually don't know. But when it comes to sex, I feel like it's either like not something you even think about, or it's a huge problem.
Yeah.
It's like the only thing that you think about. And yeah, with money, it's a tough thing. I almost feel like it's ironic. I feel like it's worth investing in someone to help you with money mindset, but it's also like such a luxury to just be like, I'm going to invest in a coach to help me deal with my fear about money.
Hey, Shay, if you're freaking out about making content, I used to have a blog, and here's something I did because like I forget exactly how much. They talk about content is the thing about blogging, and so like when I first started hitting it like every day, and I said, man, I can't keep doing this. This is just too darn hard, I'm staying up too late, thinking about it all day long, and because I'm trying to think about the blog, I'm kind of neglecting my work. And so I cut it back to like 3 days a week, like Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And that kind of worked out pretty good because what I was able to do, it's like either Monday or Wednesday is when I really wrote something, But like on Friday, I need just one of those other days to, maybe come up with something that referred back to a maybe an interesting article or a YouTube that I saw that was pretty good. And then on Fridays, and I stayed in the theme though, and so then on Fridays I did something where it's like a funny video, and I called it something like the I forget what it was. Like, was it Friday Falls or something like that? But that way, it's like, sure, you gotta look online to get that kind of stuff, but it's a different mindset when you're looking for something instead of actually creating something. So it was a little bit of a weight off of my shoulder, and then I would just for the heck of it, then I would do something on Saturday or Sunday just as an added treat to the readers. Maybe it was something I wrote. Maybe it was something a neat video or something that I found. Just something, something just to keep my name out there and keep the stuff flowing. It looked like content, but it really wasn't. So at least that's something. I'm not saying that's the thing to do. I'm saying, hey, that's what I did. It kind of worked for me.
Yeah, and Shay, regarding covers, I just sent you a link with articles that cover a lot of the cover designs and tools, and there's pre-mades out there where they're already created by other designers. And you can start there. And the thing with the covers is you can always replace them. So you can start with a cheaper option, and then as money comes in, you can always update your covers. That's the beauty of the ebooks and the technology
Well,
today.
that's an idea.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the other question. Do I want to do, like, if I'm publishing, do I want to do like Kindle Unlimited or why? You know? It's
Oh
like,
yeah, I can have a whole conversation with you about that.
Yeah,
Advantages
really.
and disadvantages about both. But yeah,
But I think
I have-
that might be something that I have to wait until after I finish fixing
No.
the problems in my
No,
book
you-
and do
you-
that first.
Yeah,
and
you
then
can
think
decide
about
that
it.
early. You can decide that early because a lot, if you, for example, if you go wide, then you have a lot of administrative work that you need to do ahead of time because you need to set up accounts on Barnes and Noble, on Kobo, on Apple, everywhere. So you want to make that decision as part of your strategy for launching.
Because if I go wide, then changing my cover would be a little bit more difficult, wouldn't it?
Not necessarily. Not necessarily, because it's the cover art, so it's you just update the electronic files and then re-upload them.
I just have to remember where I uploaded everything.
Yeah, well,
That's
you'll
when
have a
you write
message.
everything.
Yeah.
You write everything
I'm
down
a
in
very
a book.
organized person.
In a book.
Yeah.
And then you don't even try and alphabetize it. Just put it in there and know it's in there somewhere. You'll find it. I spent all day looking through there going, what the hell was that word? And what was that? But it's there. And that's as organized as I get. I'm not even a plotter. I have these amazing programs that make me crazy now. It's like, how the hell am I going to know what they're doing next week? I don't know what they're doing tomorrow. And then this morning I was working on it. If a character shows up, now I got to go back. I have my timelines are actually, this is how they're written. Okay. So I have to go in and fill in who the hell they are. They're on the front and the back. And how did they get there? And then it's like, where the hell did you show up? So it's like, you can't take this shit seriously.
Yeah, Myra, it takes me way back where one of my professors said, what's the best tool for X? It's the one that you use.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I was, it's like, I'm going to have to spend 100 hours watching YouTube videos to learn the programs I've got. And I thought, I don't have time for that crap. I'm getting old here. I'm going to get really old before I even learn this shit. So I just went back doing my little, find that. And then, the kids use the other stuff. It's like, Mom. Yeah, all right, go ahead.
Well, I'll tell you what there, Mara. One thing I've learned, though, with all the programs out there, when they go down, everything goes back to paper.
Yep. I have backups. In fact, I'm printing
Good.
out the manuscript because, and I finally yesterday I thought, trying to edit on I'm not on a computer. I'm just really I have worked in a research lab. We do everything by paper. So I'm thinking, why am I trying to edit everything? I can't even remember what happened in 4 chapters ago. I got to go find the fucking chapter. So I'm printing it out and binding it, and then as I work, I'll update that, and then off we go, because it's like I'm really trying to do stuff that is not the way that I do stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, and we really should. I have everything backed up everywhere because, yeah.
It was so weird to have no internet or cable this weekend, and people at cash registers are calculating on old school calculators, and we had to walk onto the street and ask for hearsay. Like, what's going on? And a bunch of, like, as soon as things went up, people are apologizing. Like, I'm so sorry you went through that. It was nice.
I forgot about that. It's like when I think I was watching that what was it, that live thing you were streaming, and it started cutting out toward the end, and I have a feeling that's when your connection started going. It's like, because I watched about half of it, and then
it was cutting in and out. I thought it was us.
exactly.
We're having terrible problems here because because 5G can't be active within 5 miles of an airport. We're on airport.
Yeah.
But also, this is Fort Lauderdale. The population within a 5-mile radius you're talking hundreds of thousands of people.
In Fort Lauderdale, yeah.
And so they took down 5G, which was up for like a year and a half before they realized the planes can't fly through it. So they take it down. What the hell do you think all these people that 5G are using? My internet is like, at night it's okay, Sunday sucks. If the kids are home from school, we're screwed, So it's like I'm getting a satellite phone because I can't really trust that this shit's going to happen. So, we have to have, I don't mind. I'll put a tin can and a wire for my neighbor if they need me. Call me. You know, but when the stuff goes down, I don't really care, you know, because really I use my computer's more a word processor than other than this stuff. I'm not like, you know, I refuse to read on my phone. I can't hardly see it in the first place, even though I have the big one. And so, you know, but I think that, you know, it's like a lot of, who was it? Was it Don that he took his books to I mean, people are selling hardbacks by taking it to somewhere that, you know, and so our distribution is, and I'm really concerned with the way Amazon is doing their stuff. If you get pegged wrong, we have, there's some word, I don't know what their algorithms were doing, but if you use certain words or a certain series of words, you get, it goes from romance to erotica, and that throws you off, you know. It throws you into a place you don't want to be. And so I mean, we're all having issues when every time they keep making all these other descriptions, and I'm thinking, you know, some young genius is going to create another platform where you don't have to use Amazon. Is going to build up. Amazon is taking years to build up. This wasn't yesterday. And if we're going to change the way that we are, you know, some of the independent publishers are going to have to come forward and allow, you know, and create platforms where their books can be read. And so you go to the publisher, you get the book, and you don't need to go to Amazon. I buy as many books as I can from the publishers anymore. I don't, you know, I try not to go to Amazon if the publishers are offering them. So if we have to become proactive in a problem we know is coming, what happens when something gets really big? It saturates and it falls apart. Remember that that the pandemic has taken out a lot of our IT people. I know that in the medical profession, half of us were killed. I mean, they're not around. So I know that's happened in IT. I know that's happened. It's so that we need to understand that our entire paradigms are collapsing and nobody's noticing. Nobody's noticing that, you know, FedEx is now even the Postal Service is having to work weekends and Sundays because they can't cover their stuff during the week. And so we become complacent. It's like, if you know you can go to the grocery store, you don't have a garden until there's no water or you can't get what you want. So you have a garden. You know, we've always had a garden. I won't give up my garden and my ranch, you know, so I'm not worried about that stuff. But people, when I say, why are you growing grass when you could have a garden? I mean, there's a lot of stuff that grows that you don't need to do a lot with. So I think a lot of what's happening in the world is we're having to revision again. We need to come to in a balance where technology is a tool. Right now, technology is becoming the boss, you know. Really.
Well, there will probably be some interesting innovations with Web3 in the next 10, 15 years that might, I mean, things can really shift. I don't know if Amazon is going anywhere ever or anytime soon, but there's so much you can do without needing to work with middlemen. Yeah.
My wife and my niece are very involved in the metaverse. We have all kinds of stuff. And one of the things they bought me was this place where I can go and do what I need to do and have my books and whatever, and people can go in there. And so now it's like, you know, sometimes it's just kind of scary for me. It's like, oh my God, I used to write science fiction as horror. I used to teach the possibilities of what happens when an AI takes over. And now it's like, oh my God, it's happening. Like, oh shit. Yeah, it's not science fiction anymore.
Is there a way that you can have a category added in Amazon? Because it's like they only have Westerns and then they have horror and stuff like that, you know. I really think they need a category that would suit me, because I'm kind of like into neo-Westerns. It's like they're not shoot 'em up, bang, bang, shoot 'em up, you know, cow pie, horse pie stuff and all that, you know. It's a little bit thinking, a little bit weird. Westerns outside the box. Like No Country for Old Men, something like that, you know. That's a neo-Western.
I feel like you almost need to use the classics category.
Yeah.
But I
Is
think
there a
that-
way to learn this stuff?
Yeah,
Sorry, Myra, sorry.
Yeah, no, there are. YouTube, literally. There are people posting crap all over the place. On YouTube, you just have to do the search. It's like because there's within the community that I'm working with, everybody, there's kids that are really cool. They get all this stuff and they'll tell you. But this breaking down has gotten to the point where it's exhausting. It's exhausting, and they're asking you to do more. But I think a lot of it has to do also with how you present, how you describe your book. You know, James, you're going to have to say, this is a Western, but not really. This is like out of the box. This is whatever. As authors, we're going to have to describe our work better. And if you have a problem, have somebody else describe it for you.
I feel like saying sometimes it would insult people, but to say, this is a thinking man's Western.
So really?
They may be offended.
Well, the thing is, if they got offended, they wouldn't be reading the damn book anyway.
Well, I would say if somebody's a Western purist, they sure don't read my stuff. They don't like my stuff.
So yeah, it's pure. You know, it really is going to depend on us to say. What we're writing, because the world has changed. So even the classics, even within the classics, you know, there's and with the ability for fans to write, whether it's about books or movies or whatever, there's an entire world out there. And that's why I was saying, Shay, you know, go find some of the fandoms and find something you like and just start writing. One of the biggest authors in the LGBTQ community started as in fanfic on one of the big things for lesbians is The Devil Wears Prada. It's a huge thing. I mean, for a lot of people, because when you go on to like AO3, there must be like 100,000 entries of how they didn't like the way the movie ended. So there's all these alternate universes. But the thing is to find one that calls you and start practicing just putting it up.
I've never thought about doing that.
Yeah, well, that's how I'm practicing. I put myself, you know, you find one and you do something really, because you can go fucking crazy. It's just, but it's amazing. You turn around and all of a sudden 30 people have read it, 40 people have read it. So you just find a little genre, something out there that, and you just kind of search them and you start getting a following. I mean, before my friend published the book, she had like 30,000 followers on AO3 for this one thing that she actually took that, did some editing and turned it into a book. But it's a way of getting yourself, you're looking at other options. You not only get to read in the community, you can help each other beta read. You start finding people that will beta read your other work. They will beta read your novels. They will help in your artwork. There's what is the other one? Patreon. You know, I know that if you back each other, there's yes, the Scribophile. There's so many places where you can not only practice your art, but it's you don't have to. It's just doing your passion. It allows people to start getting used to your voice. You already have one. You know, but it matures. Since you published your last one to now, your life has changed. Your experiences have altered. So it allows you to mature. It allows you to put something up and see how it's received and what people are thinking, and see if you really want to go through it or have to change it. You know, so it's really about looking at. It's also, I love it because I get other people's, and that's why I love beta reading. I get an opportunity to see other people's voices and how they're constructing their world, you know, because a book this is not an English class. This is writing a book. And so the author's voice, and for me, it's been a big lesson because I read, as I'm reading and learning the authors that I'm reading, is their voices are all different. How they present them are all different. And they all have following. They all sell their books. They're all totally different. Because of the way that I think, I'm more drawn to the more complex languages, but that doesn't mean that everybody will, you know, it's like someone who's really into Westerns is going to read James's book and go, what the fuck happened? You know?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So we need to let them know that. So, you know, it's you let them find your voice and then they find your books. But it also gives you a chance to put your voice out there, to experiment. And in the, like, there's a lot of times when an author will start something and say, this idea sucks. And on the top will say, I got 10 chapters in, it sucks, I didn't finish it, sorry. Maybe you can. And you just leave it out there.
Can't do that.
You can't do that?
Nah, not at all. If the idea is there, I gotta see it through, because otherwise it's like I'm blocked. I gotta finish whatever I'm working on to get to the next place, you know? It's like, if once the idea is there, I gotta finish it.
Yeah, the idea has to go through, but sometimes, you know, you work yourself, you think it's going to be a novel, it ends up being a novella or a short story, or you could, you know, but it's great to do it in a place where you're getting people, and people are very encouraging. It's not like nobody goes in there to beat you up. They just go in there because it's fun.
Oh, by the way, I got to interrupt a second. Shay, Myra just said something that really reminded me of something else when I was talking about like your blog, and you know, you find stuff to put in there, maybe like a YouTube or something like that. Always put, at least I did, put your own voice in there, just a little bit for your readers so they don't feel so ripped off, you know. Say, hey, I saw this the other day on YouTube, I thought you'd like it too, or like or you know, just kind of fudge a little bit and say, hey, I was talking to somebody the other day, you know, you're going to reference an article or something that, you know, say, hey, somebody turned me on to this the other day, you know, I was looking at this and I thought you may, you know, I thought it was pretty cool, thought you may like it too. Just, okay, go ahead, Myra, I'm sorry.
No, that's because all of that, it's how and for an author, our voices are our words. Our voices are our words. And so however your voice is in your book, your voice when you speak needs to sound the same.
Mm-hmm. Right, yeah.
You can't have a voice in the book and then come out and sound like Sylvester Stallone, right?
well, like when like, well, okay, you know, like I'm old too, and you know, I used to watch I used to stay up and watch the Tonight Show. And when Johnny Carson, this is kind of really dating myself now, when, you know, at the end of the show, he would have an author on there. And like so many times, like these guys were nothing like what you thought they were like, you know. It's like you kind of, their voice wasn't the same as what they wrote in, is what I'm trying to say, basically, I guess.
Yeah, he did that. And sometimes you swear that they had a ghostwriter, that it could not have been the person.
Isn't that the truth?
I went to in San Francisco, they'd had all these, you know, art and books. And so I'd go to like to meet an author, and the author would open their voice and I'd speak to them like for 10 minutes. And I wonder who the fuck wrote this book?
Mm-hmm.
Really? Because how could they forget the baseline of the book that they're signing for me? It's like, how the hell did that happen? And you know, ghostwriters make a lot of money. They do. So that it's, you know, it really depends on, but for me, you know, it really is important, and it's important. For me, I use it so I don't lose my passion. It's just fun. It's not going anywhere but there. And so when I put it up on the screen, it's like, I don't really care. I just did it, you know, and you do shit to make people crazy.
Another guy that kind of disappointed me was John Irving, because I just read The World According to Garp, and I thought that book was really out there. I expected this guy to be bouncing off the walls or something, and he was kind of serious. So what can I say, you know?
They're all, yeah, it is, you know, and sometimes, you know, if you're not so good in public, sometimes you lose your voice.
Because he, you know, he was so serious, I will say one thing though. I tried to get that Garp vibe going. It's like I read a lot of his backstories and stuff, like 158-pound marriage, and like I was just chomping a bit before Hotel New Hampshire came out, but I can never get that John Irving thing going again,
Yeah, and it's like never meet your heroes. That's
exactly.
That has always been my motto. I don't want to meet you. And after that one particular incident, I had the pleasure in my life of really knowing some extraordinary authors. They were friends. I didn't know they were authors. I mean, we all did other stuff, and it was like, oh, I wrote a book. And you wrote a book, and as I read the book, holy shit, you wrote a book, and it was a good book, but it was from the other end. It wasn't reading the book and then meeting the person, and so. That for me it works much better. It really does, because
the guy I met, looking back, that had a lot of influence on me, believe it or not, was a guy by the name of Clyde Ware. Now he's dead now, so I don't know if anybody would know him or not. But like he wrote a lot of episodes for Bonanza when that was on, and he wrote a few books and stuff. And anyway, I met him and we started talking about. I met him when I was in college, and we started talking about movies. And at that time, everybody was really into stuff like the Billy Jack and crap like that, And we started, talking about that. I said, man, I don't know. I thought it really sucked. And he goes, that's because you have good taste. I said, hey. And so then I set up and started listening to what he had to say. And he hung around the campus that night or that day. And then that night, we had an on-campus pub. And he saw me walk into the pub, and he gives me one, come over here, sit down, and we talked a little bit more and stuff. And it's like, it was really an enlightening conversation. And sometimes I think maybe if that hadn't happened that night, drinking those beers together, I may never started writing. I don't know. Or I can't say I never would have started writing because I started so little and stuff, but it's like he kind of kept it going, But yeah, never meet your heroes. I've met some other people, comedians and whatnot, and it was bad scene. Ooh.
I think some people express themselves in their art, but they can't. People are very hinged.
For sure.
And I think about like Sacha Baron Cohen.
Yeah.
Ali G and Borat, and then he's just so reserved.
I saw that stuff, and then saw him in real life, and said, "Whoa, what a difference, man!"
But it is true. What people, I public speak all the time. I teach. I'm retired now, but I have had more people. My wife is really gregarious. She's like always laughing, and she's like this little magnet for a million people, which is great for me because I don't have to be there. And she gets asked so often how she can live with me because I never laugh. I'm publicly probably the most stoic person around, and so nobody gets it. It's like I don't like people to get too close to me. I have my thing. And I have a really tight knit circle where who know me. So she's always laughing. She said, because she'll say she's the most hysterical person I know. And it's like I'm loose. You guys, once we get to know each other, I'll joke around. But
I know where you're coming from.
Here, I can't.
I really do. I know where you're coming from because somebody asked my wife that a long time ago. I was still married. It's like, oh, he must be paranoid. Yeah, it's like he never says it, and she's like, he never says anything. But the people bring out of me. What can I say?
Yeah, and it's great for her. I mean, the pandemic hasn't been. I'm not a very extroverted person. I really am. I spend my time in my world, and so, but. We do laugh. It's just, and I know that I laugh. It's just you have to be. I have to be. I have to be comfortable enough.
It has to be, and it has to be darn funny, and it's got to be original. Because when people come in, it's like I got so sick of hearing people saying, "Where's the beef?" when I was a lot younger. I got so sick of that. It's like I want to hear something that I haven't heard before. Then I'll laugh, and then I'll think you're funny.
It's like, the kids make me laugh. They're just hysterical. But and so even for them, I know that perceptions can be so deceiving. And I watch it because my nieces come in and they get really angry when people say, your aunt's really a bitch. She's like, and she'll say, what did she do? Nothing. Well, if she did nothing, how can she be a bitch? She didn't do anything, but she did nothing. Well, what did you want her to do? Like, it's like, and they're like, so, nothing is, if you haven't said anything that I find worth responding to, I don't. You get nothing.
There you go. Okay. Makes sense. Yeah.
Like, okay. So I just sit there and look at you and go away, roll my eyes. I don't know. It's like, what? I'm like, the perpetual deer in the headlight. Like, what? And
I think we all have masks that we wear.
Absolutely.
We've got our family. Even within our family, we have our own little things. And then we have the public, whether it's the male person or hi neighbor or whatever. And that's a cutesy little George Jetson mask. And then you have the public speaking mask, if you've gotten that training, or if you're a teacher or whatever. And then you have the presenter. But we have all of these masks, and I mean, not to sound trite or anything, Shrek, we're all like onions, but it's true in a way. And, we've got this little person, and thanks to this group, I'm learning about strangers or not stranger danger, but, we have this mask, and where I'm comfortable here with you guys online, and when I'm out there, totally different person. I mean, I can drop a speech like that, no problem. I can motivate the troops, no problem. I can be Mama Bear, no problem. But that's a mask. That's not me. And I think I have opened up more in this group with the real me than out there.
I think the wonderful part about public speaking is exactly that. I'm not open for questions. I present whatever the material needs to be. Sometimes, depending on the audience and what we're working on, I might be open for questions if we have a panel. But I go on, I do what I need to do, and I go off. For me, that's you are out there and I'm over here. And over here means that when I get off the stage, I have a room to go to, and we're fine. And I don't talk to the mailman. My wife does that. I don't talk to that. I direct the gardener, or if it's something that I'm involved in, otherwise Rose handles that. I don't. And there are places where I know it's like, I'm a real asshole. I know that. It's like, no, I'm not gonna do that. And if people are coming, I close my door. Where is she? Not here. And I'm not.
The worst thing about this group is that when you hear a good line, you can't steal stuff from another writer. But that line about a George Jetson mask, fantastic. I mean, I would say that in a book.
You can have it. You can have it.
I think, anything that you find, for me, anything you find, you can have it. It's like, I mean, if you can take something and do something with it, what the hell? But
that's from an old, I'm pegging my age here, Jane's. That's from a George Jetson episode. Remember when his wife was speaking with her friend?
I don't remember that one.
Mask fell.
But I'll tell you what, now, yes, okay. But I was going to say that, to be honest with you, though, that I am old enough that I watched the Jetsons in prime time. Sunday nights, ABC, 7 o'clock.
My sister watched them.
Remember the Flintstones?
She's younger than me.
See, the Flintstones, Bugs Bunny, and Jetsons were all originally on prime time.
Yes, they were. And my sister was younger, and we had to watch that shit when I wanted to watch Star Trek or The Rifleman or something. It's like, why the hell did you have another baby after all this time? It's like, Jesus. My mother would look at me.
Well, wasn't it okay? Didn't Bugs Bunny take over the slot that Rifleman had or was
Yes.
one before the other? And then,
No,
then
it's a
came
book.
Combat after
Yeah.
Bugs. But I remember crying about that. But then I really liked Combat, so it's okay.
It was younger siblings were a pain in my butt. That's it. What? And then no, but you don't come home. I was the princess, and then my mother comes home, and I'm 10, and all of a sudden there's a baby, and I thought, okay,
10
I-
years. That's a big gap
Yeah.
there. Yeah.
there's 13 between the oldest, and so my brother and I looking at each other, going, "What?"
Yeah.
So where the head's kids? You know, we didn't have money, so my brother and I shared a room, and we're looking like, where the hell are I gonna put the kid? And between us was the crib, and it was like that thing. It pooped. It's like, oh my god, that was those were. And then the thing is, when I asked my mother, what possessed you to do that now? And my mother looked at me, she said, I wasn't supposed to get pregnant. And I'm like, I didn't, it's like, well, obviously something happened. She was in menopause when she got pregnant. The doctor, she was still using, they didn't have whatever she was using. And so, and I looked at her, I said, oh my God, that kid really wanted to be her. So it was, but yeah, it was terrifying. It was, so that kind of stuff, you have to laugh. I know that there's a story in there somewhere. I have to wait till, you really have to wait till, you have to be careful when you're writing about people who are still here. I have to be careful about my villains in my book. Okay, it can't sound too much like the people in my family. Although
That's why I use John Wayne and Butch Cassidy.
Yeah, it is fun. So, but really.
Oh, by the way, again, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Jess, tomorrow, just for you, that book is going to be free in Canada.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And just to make it real easy, also, I didn't try to do it in the United States. So I made, there's a place where the book comes from. And so I made it Amazon Canada to make it, easy and all that kind of stuff. Because I've run into that with other books sometimes that I've tried to get, like I've won free books, but it's like because it's a different country and stuff, it's like I can't get it because I live in the United States. So I made it Canada for you.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yeah,
Okay,
there's
remind
Amazon.
me what it's called.
What's that?
Remind me what it's called.
Once Upon a Time with Grandpa. No, wait a minute. Yeah, wait a minute. Yeah, it is Once Upon a Time with Grandpa. Okay. It's like, I was heavily into Once Upon a Time in Hollywood when I was writing the stories, so it just popped up like that.
Okay.
But see, actually, it's a kind of a sequel to another story I wrote called Grandpa Wore a Six Gun. It was kind of a serious Western. This is more my neo-Western stuff, outside the box, a little crazy.
Okay. Can I jump in at this in book 3?
Yeah, because actually, see, it's each one is basically a story into itself. So there may be a little bit there. It's like, but you'll pick it up. It's like the guys are friends, and in the first story I expand on that a little bit, and later on it's not expanded so much, but you can kind of figure it out, and that kind of stuff.
Oh, thank you. I'm excited. I would drop the link in the chat, but I guess that's irrelevant for
if you're not living in Canada.
I would imagine you're correct in that assumption. I don't know.
Yeah.
I just looked it up for myself, so I've got it.
I'll drop the link anyways in case you want to check it out. But I think it's been 3 hours.
Oh gosh.
We could go for another one.
Sounds like it, yeah.
You guys are great. You guys are really great.
Yeah, it's hard not to go over.
It works both ways.
Shayford, I'm going to send you a link and you can click on it if you want or not, or I can be your in-between. I can get you in touch with some artists that are looking for some work.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
KJ, thank you for turning your camera on today. And
Absolutely, KJ. You've been the mystery person over there all these times. Like,
I know.
Now we got a face with a voice.
I know. So it's y'all, you guys have just been so great about being accepting and everything else. So
It is a
thank you.
great group, isn't it? I
It
I
is.
felt the same way.
We're
It's
an
like
accepting bunch.
actually after I was here like 1 week, I said, "Hey man, this is the place to be." It's like this is my writers group now, you know. It's like everybody else. It's like, you know, I've forsaken them, you know.
The thing is, you know, that proves that we can change the world because we can make groups where we.
Yes, it's true, isn't it? Yes.
We do this. I mean, we can. We
Well,
just have to
here's
work.
another quote from another good book series. One drop raises the ocean.
Absolutely.
Is that about that? I think I read that. It's about that guy that peed in the ocean or something.
No.
Oh,
Dinotopia.
Oh, okay.
Dinotopia.
Dinotopia. It's classic.
And,
It means a
that's not
dinosaur
every-
peed in the ocean, right?
No. No. But you know, there's a fandom on Dinotopia. Check it out. It's
Oh, there's a fandom on everything, I'm sure.
I know. So I mean, that's why I was telling you.
Googling fandom for every comp book.
Everything.
And yeah.
But the fandoms, remember, there's like thousands of people following these. So when you get into there and start and become part of that 1 leads to the 3 and leads to the 10, all of a sudden, shit, when you say I'm publishing under here, it's like everybody runs over there. You just have, it's like a big plot of people wanting to read your stuff.
That's a
good idea.
That's a great idea for especially for quirky niches where you're not writing to market.
Right.
Yeah.
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 And you start and all of a sudden, I know the woman whose book is taken off, she just wrote because she loved that. She really didn't think that she was going to write a book. And it's won this last 8 months. It's won, I don't know how many awards in the LGBT across the globe. And so, but by the time that the book came out, I mean, she had to cut it down because I think the fanfic was like 280,000 words. So it's just actually 2 books. It's amazing. And she was like, you know, it's like she said, you know, look in the mirror. That's how you know you're an author. That's the author. You have to remember that. And you know, I peek around the corner. Yep, that's me. And I come back around this way. I mean, it takes a while, but it's okay. But it's a place to start because everybody's worried, you know, newsletters and shit. Start writing, start putting it where people are reading, and in fanfic, especially when something new pops up, people go to look, and then they keep looking. And so it's really, my niece turned me on to that. She said, Thea, you got to go over there and go do that. And I said, okay, well, okay. So I mean, it's like, you know, for me, it's like Star Trek and you know, yeah.
Yes, as geeks, nerds. That's me.
You know, so you go in there and you find something that you love and sometimes it just really helps your head to be writing something different than what you're going to be writing, than what you write about. You say, I can't write that, and then you go do that. Well, I can write that. It's just fun. So, and Jess, you know, I know that you have so much time, but you know, you can take it 10 minutes when you start having your meltdown about, am I really an author and all that shit? Just go write. You know,
if you're going to talk about geeks and nerds, these are all the Walking Dead books.
All right, you geeky nerd, you.
Well,
I don't know if you can see my screen, or
yeah,
well, now that I'm doing, that's my board. I'm a list person, but where is it? That circle thing. Part of my book is Avalon and Atlantis, and all there's 5 different mythological cities.
Yeah.
So I actually researched and figured out exactly how a 5-ring city would look, and I made that map.
Awesome.
So talk about nerds.
Yep.
That's my passion.
Well, you have my email because that's many of my passions. But all of that historical research is, yeah, there's a lot of stuff out there. There is,
Yeah,
and a lot of old tomes, which I happen
I'll
to
send you
own.
my link and you can, I've got an author site on WordPress now.
Okay.
Because my main website has kind of blown up now that I'm expanding into helping everybody and not just myself. And so that's now its own business and its own monster. And now I have my own author thing separate and it explains it. So I'll send you that. Thank you. James is helping me out. Thank you, James.
Yeah.
I've got
Not doing a good job of it.
Within the esoteric world, I have, and I think they're here in my niece's library, but I have books that are like 200 years old that have those, what it would look like. Yeah.
Well,
So, I mean,
it's a little twist. It's sci-fi and fantasy.
Sure. I mean,
Blended.
how else is it going to be? Mine's paranormal sci-fi fantasy. I mean, every time I look at it, it's like, what the hell are you to become today now? It's like, okay, just whatever the fuck.
Well, that's why I was worried about the whole Amazon thing and the no list, because it's like James, my book, if I were to describe it, does not fit into sci-fi fantasy. And I know they even have sci-fi crossover. It's Lord of the Rings meets Star Trek meets Titanic.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
I think just think about what it is first if you had to pick one, like prioritize the order.
It catches, I've got two parallel storylines. Exactly. 50-50 of the book is sci-fi and fantasy. And then there's this whole thing about the no words getting kicked into erotic. I have a warning label at the beginning of my book. We talked about this in one of our other meetings, a content warning, because I have, and I quote, foul language due to official military jargon.
So you get pushed into if there's foul language.
I don't know what I'm going to get pushed into. That's my worry.
No, what they've been really tricking is on sexual scenes, on language and in sexual scenes. You know.
Okay, well, my military guys definitely speak like a sailor because my husband. And there's a cuddle scene, but not in depth.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I'm going to get kicked into because of the military stuff, because Foxtrot Uniform Charlie Kilos is said a lot.
Oh, you don't have to spell it. You can say it. We're really good.
I know.
You're among friends. Say it. Come on.
Okay, I'm the Southern Belle. Remember my truth? He's the Army Ranger.
Oh hell, you can military. You know, for me, it's like people say my astrologer is one of my really good friends, and she's Midwestern, kind of like you. She's a Midwestern belle, you know. She never swears. So, like, we go out on her 80th birthday.
And you can always tell when I'm really angry, because then I'll curse, but I'll probably curse in Cajun French.
So my big thing, you know, was to get Brenda to cuss, and so I would say, Brenda, it just feels good. So just say fuck, and she goes, I can't do that. I can't. She turns beet red, and so you know we talk all the time. I'm actually writing a book. I'm taking her work and writing her book because she doesn't want to do that. So I cuss a lot at her. And finally one day something happened, and it was one of those days, and she said, it's a fucking bad day. And I said, didn't that feel good? And she said, did I just no, she says, now she's got to be careful, because people who she's never sworn before, she'll just say, oh fuck you. And I'm thinking, but she says it's so nice. She says she's such a, you know, so pleasant about like, fuck you. I'm thinking, no, Brenda, when you say that, mean it. You're not propositioning them. You tell them you want to kick him in the ass. I can't say.
Well, I'm from Louisiana, and we just bless everybody's heart.
Oh, I know.
Sounds like West Virginia.
Give them sweet tea and kill them. Here, have some of this, and we'll go for it. Yep. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Anyway.
Man,
We
it's
digress.
slimy
I'm sorry.
around here. Ugh, slimy.
I know.
Getting loopy.
Look at poor Jesse's falling asleep. So guys, thank you. You all have a great weekend. Shay, you can stay in touch. Shay, anything you need, just drop me an email, babe. Okay.
Thank you so much. I appreciate
Hey,
it.
whenever you're free, you're welcome back. When you're not free, when you're acting, no worries at all. But we're here when you need.
Keisha, you stay out of trouble, you Southern Belle, you. I'm sorry. There's a saying, we used to say in the lesbian community, when a Southern Belle pops up, she says, "Oh, fuck, that bitch has got a knife in her ass." So be careful.
Hey, I said I was a Southern Cajun, so yeah, I can.
I know what's under those. I know what's under those little slips. Yeah. No, thank you.
All right,
I can handle
everybody.
Good night.
Night.